Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Am I audible and visible? Good morning. Good morning, Divyani. Am I audible and visible? Dhwani. Okay, great. Purva, Elon Musk. So I hope all of you had a great weekend. Last week, I was dealing with ancient Indian history. I gave you an overview of ancient Indian history. That's how I began ancient Indian history. And then we covered a few topics. I finished with the Stone Age. So after an overview, I finished with the Stone Age topic. Then the Indus civilization. So we have covered Indus civilization. Then Vedic period, which is divided into Rig Vedic period and later Vedic period. Then pre-Maurya period, the age of Mahajanapadas, pre-Maurya period. Then Maurya period, Mauryas, and then post-Maurya. And then I began with Guptas. I gave an overview of Gupta period, the highlights of the Gupta period. I discussed the sources for the study of the Guptas. Today, I will finish ancient India. Today, let me finish Gupta, and then we'll go to another chapter, post-Gupta period, and that will terminate ancient Indian history. And from tomorrow onwards, we can start with medieval Indian history. So, good morning, all of you. Saranya, Elon, Purva, Ramesh, Rana. Am I loud and clear? Am I loud and clear? Once again, I'm asking. Visible and audible. Great. So let me speak about the Guptas. I did begin the Gupta period. I gave you the highlights of the Gupta period. So on the ruins of the Kushanas, we have another kingdom which comes into existence, another dynasty which comes into existence. That is the Guptas. So we have the Kushanas. So on the ruins of the Kushanas, we have the Guptas, bringing most of North India under their control. Initially, we are told that they ruled from Prayaga. Initially, they ruled from Prayag and later from Pataliputra. So initial capital was Prayag. They served as feudatories of the Kushanas, and later they ruled from Pataliputra. So we have a number of sources for the study of the Guptas, literary sources. So last class I have discussed this. Literary sources, we have inscriptions, which is divided into two parts, Prashasti, and Dana Shasanas. Dana Shasanas, or land charters, land grants or land charters. So we have inscriptional evidence, Prashastis and Dhanashasanas. We have, of course, numismatics, coins, which also give us a lot of information about the Guptas, gold coins, silver coins. And as we have seen, the Guptas issued the largest number of gold coins in ancient Indian history. And of course, we have the accounts of Fahian. So all these serve as authentic sources for the study of the Guptas. So good morning, everybody. Sachin, Shambhavi, good morning. So last class, I've discussed the sources, literary sources, Kamandaka's Niti Sara, which is considered to be a Gupta equivalent of Kautilya's Arthashastra, Vajjika's Kaumudi Mahotsava, which talks about the coronation of Chandragupta the first, the Mrichakatika, the little clay cart, which talks about the society of the Gupta period, etc. We have discussed all these things last class. So then we have the accounts of Fahian. Fahian was a Chinese traveler. He was the first Chinese traveler to come to India. He came to India during the period of Chandragupta II, Vikramaditya. Vikramaditya. But Fahian never makes a mention of the name of the king. He was more interested in Buddhism. He came to visit the land of the Buddha to collect Buddhist manuscripts. So he was more interested in that than in the political aspect of India, the political life of India. So he doesn't make a mention of the name of the king as such, Fahian. And he is the first foreigner to speak about untouchability. So we have discussed all this last class, the socio-economic, educational disabilities imposed upon the untouchable class. So Fahian, so he came by the land route and he went back by the sea route. We have discussed this. Then we have inscriptions. We have a number of inscriptions. 42 inscriptions are there. Some are prashastis. What's a prashasti? It only praises the king. It only praises the king. And dana shasanas are land charters. So we looked at the important inscriptions of the period of Samudragupta, the Allahabad Prashasti, which is basically written on an Ashokan pillar, which was found at Kaushambi, right? And later it was shifted to Allahabad by Jahangir. So Allahabad Prashasti talks about the military achievements of Samudragupta. Then Iran Prashasti, again it talks about Samudragupta's conquest. The Nalanda copper plate inscription, which talks about the land grant. Basically, it talks about a village granted by Samudragupta to a Brahmin. And in this particular land charter, we have the reference of the word Agrahara mentioned for the first time. So the word Agrahara is mentioned for the first time there. So we have seen this last class. The Shatavahanas were the first to make land grants, tax-free land grants to Brahmanas and Buddhist monks. But then there was never a word called Agrahara or Brahmadeya used. So here in the Gupta period, we have for the first time the usage of the word Agrahara or Brahmadeya land grant made to a Brahmin. Gaya copper plate inscription. So we have looked at all these things. Then Mehroli iron pillar inscription of Chandragupta II, and this is at Mehroli in Delhi. And on the top of this iron pillar, we have the name of a king called Chanda. So it mentions the military achievements of Chandragupta II, and we have the origin of the name Delhi. So there's a story surrounding this pillar as to how the name Delhi came about. When I do medieval India tomorrow onwards, then I'll discuss about it. Very interesting story is there around this pillar, iron pillar. So it is made of pure iron. The best quality iron was made by the Guptas. So, right. So, Sachin, good morning, all of you. Sachin, I suppose what about others? They're able to see me, hear me clearly. Maybe some technical problem, Sachin, from your end. I don't know what it is. Right. So that should be taken care of by the backend team, I suppose, Sachin. So we'll continue. So here you have the Mehroli iron pillar, which is 99.7% iron, pure iron. So nobody has been able to make a better iron than the Guptas, even till date. Right? So this is the Mehroli iron pillar inscription of Chandragupta II. Then Skandagupta's inscriptions, we have seen that Junagadh inscription, where we have Chakrapalita, the governor of Junagadh during the time of Skandagupta, who for the last time repaired the Sudarshana lake. So he got the Sudarshana lake repaired, and that is mentioned in the Junagadh inscription of Skandagupta. The original Junagadh inscription was issued by Rudradaman I, isn't it? The Shaka king, Rudradaman I. So the history of the Sudarshana lake is contained in the Junagadh rock inscription. The Bitari inscription talks about his victories over the Hunas, his wars against the Hunas or Huns, Skandagupta's wars against the Huns. The Pune plate, copper plate of Prabhavati Gupta, she was one of the daughters of Chandragupta II, and the land survey system is seen there. The Gupta land survey system, how the land was measured, various categories of land depending upon its fertility, all those things are mentioned in that. And the Iran inscription of Bhanugupta, Iran in Madhya Pradesh, ERAN. So this is the first inscriptional evidence of the practice of sati. We get the first inscriptional evidence of the practice of sati from this particular inscription. Then we have the Mandsaur inscription of Yashovarman. So he's supposed to have succeeded the Guptas in the 8th century AD. So this inscription is dated 532 AD. But then he succeeded the Guptas, and he's supposed to have defeated the Guptas, Yashovarman, whose capital was Mandsaur in Madhya Pradesh. Right? Then we have numismatic evidence. I told you last class, the Guptas issued gold coins called dinars, and their gold coins mimic the gold coins of the Kushanas. And the Kushanas copied the gold coins from the Romans, and therefore, indirectly, the Gupta coins, the Gupta gold coins, also imitate the Roman gold coins. So Romans used to issue gold coins called denarius, and on the model of the Romans, the Kushanas, and also the Guptas copied it. So we have Fahian, who tells us that shells were used, cowries, he calls them as cowries, or seashells were used as the minimum of exchange by the common people. And we have different types of coin. The Chandragupta Kumaradevi type of coin issued by Samudragupta. So to mark the marriage of his parents, Chandragupta the first with Lichavi Princess Kumaradevi. So this is the Chandragupta Kumaradevi type of coin issued by Samudragupta. You can see on your screen. So this is Chandragupta the first, and this is Queen Kumaradevi. Then Samudragupta issued a maximum number of gold coins. We have seen that last class. Then we have the first king, Gupta king, to issue silver coins was Chandragupta II Vikramaditya. He was the first to issue silver coins after defeating the Shakas of Ujjain. And of course, we have found silver coins of Kumaragupta in Maharashtra at a place called Samand. So I stopped here last class. Can I move on? So backend team, please look into that. So I'll continue my class. So we'll look at. So we come back here. The political history of the Guptas, as you can see on your map, the blue color, the dark blue is the conquest of Chandragupta the first, right? Then we have this violet color, which is the conquest of Samudragupta. And again, this light blue color around Gujarat region, this is the conquest of Chandragupta II, Vikramaditya. So we'll talk about it. Very interesting. See on your screen. This is where I stopped. I have recapped whatever I have done last class and the last week in brief. I have recapped that. So we'll come back here. Sri Gupta. So let us talk about the political history of the Guptas. All of you, are you there with me? Right. Now, so the founder was Sri Gupta. The founder was Sri Gupta, and we have a Chinese traveler who came to India, the fourth Chinese traveler. The first was Fahian, the second was Hyun Sang, the third was Wang Yutze. So when I do Harsha, next chapter is post-Gupta period. We'll talk about Wang Yutze and Itzing. So here we have spoken about, and of course we'll be speaking about even Hyun Sang. So we have spoken about Fahian. We will be mentioning about Hyun Sang, Wang Yutze, and Itzing in the next chapter. So Itzing, the fourth Chinese traveler to come to India, tells us that Sri Gupta built a vihara in present day West Bengal at a place called Mrigasikhavana. So he was the founder of the Gupta dynasty, Sri Gupta, and he built a vihara at Mrigasikhavana. And he took the title of Maharaja. That is, it shows that he was a feudatory. He was not independent. He was probably under the Kushanas. Right? This is Sri Gupta. Then the first important Gupta king was Chandragupta the first. The first important Gupta king is Chandragupta the first. He came to power on February the 26th, 320 AD. So we can say 320 AD, February 26, 320 AD. And this is the beginning of the Gupta era. So Gupta era is said to begin from here. That is the day when Chandragupta the first came to power. Now, the Guptas were Vaishyas by origin, that is by Varna. They were Vaishyas by Varna, the Guptas. And this Chandragupta the first married a Lichavi princess who was a Kshatriya. So Chandragupta the first married the Lichavi princess, Kumaradevi. So once Chandragupta the first married this Lichavi princess Kumaradevi, it added to the prestige of the Guptas, right? And we have seen this sometime back, that the son of Chandragupta the first and Kumaradevi was Samudragupta. The son born to Chandragupta the first and Kumaradevi was Samudragupta. And he was the one who issued the Chandragupta Kumaradevi type of gold coins, where we have the figure of his parents embossed on the coin, on the gold coin. That is called Chandragupta Kumaradevi type of gold coin, issued by Samudragupta. So marrying into a Kshatriya family added to the prestige of the Guptas, and with the help of the Lichavis, Chandragupta the first was able to consolidate his position. He was able to consolidate his position. Am I there with you? All of you clear? Then this person who succeeded Chandragupta the first was Samudragupta. The person who succeeded um, Chandragupta the first was Samudragupta. So I'll open a separate page for you on your screen. So what about Samudragupta? Samudra is considered to be the greatest of the Guptas. Samudragupta is considered to be the greatest of the Guptas by most of the historians. Now look here. So you have, let us say this is India, right? In India. So what did he do? What was the capital of the Guptas? What was the capital of the Guptas? All of you? What was the capital of the Guptas? Can you answer that question, please? Hello? What was the capital of the Guptas? Pataliputra. Are you there with me? Hello? So the capital of the Guptas was Pataliputra. So, yeah, Divyani. Yeah, Pataliputra. Now look here. Now we have Samudragupta following our era of conquest. So he began to conquer one area after another area. First of all, North India was conquered by him. And these are known as the Aryavarta campaigns of Samudragupta. Aryavarta campaigns. Aryavarta campaigns. So what is Aryavarta? That is North India. From Himalayas to Vindhyas. That area was called Aryavarta. There were 8 kings of Aryavarta. Okay. So in the Aryavarta campaigns of Samudragupta, he attacked all those 8 kings one after another, defeated them, killed them. He defeated and killed them and annexed their kingdoms. So this is the Aryavarta campaigns of Samudragupta. Then we have so that is number 1. So Aryavarta campaigns. Then we have, the border kingdoms. Border kingdoms, they're called Pratyanta and Nripati Rajas. Pratyanta Rajas. Pratyanta and Nripati. That is the border areas. What are the border areas? Like, for example, Kashmir. So Kashmir is called Kartipura. Then Davaka, Assam. Then Nepal. So all these areas on the borders of the Gupta Empire were conquered by him. He defeated all those rulers ruling in those border areas and forced them to pay tribute. So this is the victory scored by Samudragupta over the Pratyanta and Nripati kings. That is the border kings, like Nepal, what we call now Kashmir, Bengal, Assam, Nepal. So you have to remember the old names also. Kashmir is called Kartipura, Samatata is Bengal, Dhavaka is Assam, Nepal is Nepal, like that. Then in the central portion of India, we have forest kingdoms in the region of Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh. These are the forest kingdoms. So Atavika Rajas. So how many Atavika Rajas were there, or forest kingdoms were there? There were 18 forest kingdoms. So he defeated all those 18 forest kings and forced them to pay tribute. Fourth, we have Ganarajas, 9 Ganarajas. Ganarajas are republics. So 9 Ganarajas were there. So he defeated all those 9 republics, the kings of all those 9 republics, and forced them to pay tribute. So 9 Ganarajas, right? So 8 Pratyanta kings were defeated, killed, and their kingdoms annexed. Pratyanta Nripati kings were defeated, border areas were defeated, and he forced them to pay tribute. Similarly, forest kingdoms in central portions of India were defeated, and they were also asked to pay tribute. And 9 Ganarajas, he also subjugated the 9 Ganarajas or republics. Okay, then we are told that via Orissa, Samudragupta marches into South India, and this is known as the Dakshinapata campaigns of Samudragupta. Dakshinapata campaigns. Dakshinapata campaign of Samudragupta. There were 12 kings of South India. There were 12 kings in South India, including Vishnugopa of Kanchipuram. So all the 12 kings of South India were defeated by Samudragupta, but he did not kill them. He defeated them, right? He forced them to pay tribute and he gave back their kingdoms. So this policy of Samudragupta is called Grahana, Moksha, Anugraha. Grahana, what is Grahana? Conquest. Grahana is conquest. Moksha, liberation. And Anugraha, reinstatement. Reinstatement. So they were reinstated as the rulers of those of their respective kingdoms. So he defeated the kings of 12 of all the 12 kings of South India. Then he did not annex those kingdoms. Neither did he kill those kings. So he forced them to accept the overlordship of the Gupta king. So those kings of South India had to accept the Gupta king as their overlord and agreed to pay tribute regularly to Samudragupta. So after getting this guarantee, he gave back their kingdoms. And this policy of Samudragupta has been called Grahana, Moksha, Anugraha, conquest, liberation, and reinstatement. Now, historians have pondered over this particular strategy adopted by Samudragupta vis-a-vis the South. Why did he follow this strategy with respect to South India? He totally followed a different policy in North India. He conquered all those kingdoms, killed their kings, and he annexed their kingdom, isn't it? He defeated all those kings, killed them, and annexed their kingdoms. Whereas in the South, he totally followed a different policy. So he was a practical politician. Please understand, Samudragupta was a practical politician. During those days, it was very difficult sitting in Pataliputra to directly administer the South, given the limitations of transport and communication. Now, what is the main reason as to why he followed this policy with respect to South India? Was he interested in the wealth of the country? Was he very interested in the wealth of South India? Was it the main reason for him to follow this policy? Was he wanting to drain the wealth of South India? And this could have been a minor reason. He wanted to annex or rather plunder the wealth of South India. But then that was not the main reason. Plunder the wealth of South India. Of course, he was benefited because South India was largely peaceful. The Vindhyas gave a lot of protection to the kingdoms of the south from the invasions from the northwest, right? So, and you have trade via the Bay of Bengal, Arabian Sea, Indian Ocean. A lot of trade used to take place. And the kings of South India used to collect custom duties from the merchants and traders. So they were very, very prosperous. But was he interested in the wealth of the South India only? The answer is no. The main reason cited by historians is he wanted to spread Brahmanism or Vedic religion in the South. He wanted to spread Vedic religion or Brahmanism in the South. And this was the main intention as to why he followed this policy. When he defeated all these kings of South India, he appointed a class of officers in each of those kingdoms called Magadha Kulas. So we have a class of officers called Magadha Kulas. And these officers were instructed by Samudragupta to see that the kings in those 12 South Indian kingdoms strictly promote Brahmanical religion or Vedic religion and not Buddhism. Buddhism should not be promoted, only Brahmanical religion or Vedic religion should be promoted. So these officers came to be called Magadha Kulas. They were appointed in each and every kingdom in South India. So this was the main reason, according to most of the historians. He was not only interested in the wealth of India, he was not interested only in the wealth of South India, because already a lot of wealth was flowing from the north, into North India from the Silk Route. So Silk Route is to pass through northwest portions of India. We have seen this. The Kushanas controlled the Silk Route. So gold continued to flow into North India even during the period of the Guptas, right? So he was not interested in the wealth only. He was main intention was to spread Vedic religion or Brahmanical religion in South. So that was the reason why he followed this policy. Are you there with me? So once he conquered almost the whole of India, he went back to Pataliputra and performed an Ashwamedha sacrifice. He performed an Ashwamedha sacrifice. So where do we get all this information? We get this information on an Ashokan pillar, okay, at Allahabad. It is presently available at Allahabad. So you remember the Allahabad Kosam pillar. So there was an Ashokan pillar at Kaushambi initially, and later it was shifted to Allahabad by Jahangir. And this Allahabad Prashasti, as it is called, contains the inscriptions of Ashoka, Samudragupta, and Jahangir. So in the Allahabad Prashasti, we have Harisena. Harisena was a minister in the court of Samudragupta. He was the chief judge, chief judicial officer, Mahadandanayaka, and Mahasandhi Vigrahaka, that is the minister of war and peace. So he was holding two positions. He was the chief justice. So he was a chief justice, Mahadandanayaka, and Mahasandhi Vigrahaka, minister of war and peace. War and peace. So Harisena gives us all this information in the Allahabad Prashasti of Samudragupta, right? Where he highlights the military achievements of his master, Samudragupta. Are you there with me? Please raise your hands. Did you understand? Are you there with me? Clear? Zeba, difficult to reach? I did not understand. Zeba, all of you clear? Can you raise your hands? Refresh your page. People who are not able to hear my class, refresh your page. So I move on. Harisena, I told you, he was a minister in the court of Samudragupta. Harisena, he was I'm coming back here. So you can see here on your screen. So Chandragupta the first married this Lichavi princess called Kumara Devi, and with their support, he became independent. So Chandragupta the first assumed the title Maharaja Adi Raja. And the Gupta era begins from his period, February 26th, 320 AD. That is the beginning of the so-called Gupta era. Now, Samudragupta is the greatest of the dynasty. The Allahabad inscription gives details about his victories on your screen. So we have 8 Aryavarta kingdoms between the Himalayas and the Vindhyas. All those 8 kings were defeated, killed, and their territories annexed by Samudragupta, right? Including, so he also defeated Ganapati Naga, one of the prominent kings of North India, the ruler of Gwalior or Padmavati. Then we have 5 Pratyanta kingdoms, border kingdoms. Pratyanta means border kingdoms. So they were all defeated by Samudragupta and they were made to pay tribute. Like Kamarupa, Assam, Dhavaka, Assam, Kartipura, Kashmir, Samatata, Bengal, Nepal. 18 Atavika Rajas, forest kingdoms or tribal kingdoms. So in the central portions of India, in the Vindhya mountains, we have 18 tribal kingdoms or forest kingdoms. They were defeated and are made to pay tribute. Then he defeated 9 Ganarajas, republics, right? Republican states. And he also forced them to pay tribute. Then he comes down south, and between the Mahanadi and Kaveri rivers, there were 12 South Indian kings. You can see this map on your screen. This is the route taken by Samudragupta on your screen. This is the route from Patliputra. He starts and he takes this route, defeats all the kings of South India, and he goes back to Patliputra and performs an Ashwamedha sacrifice. So we have these kings of South India: Mahendra, the king of Koshala or Orissa, then Hastivarma, the king of Vengi in Andhra, Vishnugopa, the king of the Pallavas in Tamil Nadu with Kanchipuram as capital. They were all defeated by Samudragupta, and he took the title. He followed a policy of Grahana, Moksha, Anugraha, conquest, liberation, reinstatement. And so, where do we get this information? From the Allahabad inscription. So, Allahabad inscription, you have his minister called Harisena. Harisena was holding the position of Mahadandanayaka. Mahadandanayaka. That is chief judge. He was the chief judge. Then Sandhi Vigrahaka. Sandhi Vigrahaka. Sandhi Vigrahaka. That is Minister of War and Peace. Minister of War and Peace. So Harisena, who was a senior minister in the court of Samudragupta, gives us all this information in the Allahabad Prashasti of Samudragupta. Did you understand? Hazeba, did you understand? All of you? So he goes back to Patliputra and performs an Ashwamedha sacrifice. And what was the main reason? The main reason was to promote Brahmanism in the south. It was not to plunder the wealth of the south. He had enough wealth and more, because a lot of gold was flowing into North India. So that was not the main reason as to why he followed this policy with respect to the south. He only wanted to promote Brahmanism or the Vedic religion. Right. Can I move on? Now look here. We have um, the next king, Chandragupta II. Now look here. Very interesting story. Samudragupta. So after Samudragupta died, what happened to the Gupta kingdom? Now Samudragupta had two sons. Samudragupta had two sons. One was Ramagupta, and the second son he had was Chandragupta II. So we have a story called Devi Chandraguptam. Devi Chandraguptam, written by Vishakadatta. Vishakadatta writes this book called Devi Chandraguptam. In this story called Devi Chandraguptam, Vishakadatta tells us the circumstances which brought Chandragupta II to power after Samudragupta. So after Samudragupta, how did the second son of Samudragupta come to power? So this story is given in Devi Chandragupta. So let me tell you the story. Now we are told that after the death of Samudragupta, by the law of primogeniture, Ramagupta became the king of the Gupta empire. So you have, what is law of primogeniture? Law of primogeniture. That is the eldest son succeeding the father to the throne. That's called law of primogeniture. So by the law of primogeniture, Ramagupta, who was the eldest son, succeeded his father Samudragupta. Vishakadatta was a scholar in the court of the Guptas. Vishakadatta is a scholar, okay, Divyani, and he writes two books. One is Devi Chandraguptam, and the other is Mudra Rakshasa. In the Mudra Rakshasa, he talks about the Mauryan revolution, how Chandragupta Maurya came to power with the help of Chanakya. So this is the same Vishakadatta. We have discussed this when I did Mauryan Empire. You remember, Divyani? So Vishakadatta was a scholar in the Gupta kingdom, and he writes two books. One is Mudra Rakshasa, and the other is Devi Chandraguptam. In Devi Chandraguptam, he talks about the circumstances which brought Chandragupta II to power. Now, Ramagupta succeeded Samudragupta. And you see, I'll draw a map here on your screen. So this is the map of India, and Guptas were ruling here. This was their capital, Pataliputra. Pataliputra was their capital, and we have a branch of the Shakas ruling this area in Gujarat, Malwa regions. Okay, so this is the Shakas, the Kardamaka branch of the Shakas. So Shakas were ruling here in this area. This is the Shaka rule. Shakas were ruling this area, right? And who was the king of the Shakas? We have a person called Basana. Basana was the Shaka king. Basana, right? He was the king of the Shakas. The Kardamaka branch of the Shakas. The Kardamaka branch of the Shakas. Now, what happened is, when Ramagupta was the Gupta king, the Shaka king Basana attacked Pataliputra. Okay, so Ramagupta was the king. Basana attacked Pataliputra and defeated Ramagupta. So Ramagupta decided to buy off the enemy. So Basana has defeated Ramagupta, the Gupta king. So Ramagupta decided to buy off the enemy. That is, give him money, give him a lot of wealth, so that the invader goes back. So what is the main purpose of an invader? Loot and plunder. So in order to avoid loot and plunder, rapine, you have Ramagupta and trying to enter into a contract. So agreement with Basana. He told Basana, I will give you a lot of wealth and you can go back to your kingdom. So Basana agreed. So Ramagupta hosted Basana in Patliputra, and he not only gave away a lot of wealth to Basana, he also told him to take his queen along with him. So the queen of Ramagupta was Dhruva Devi. Understand this? Dhruva Devi. Dhruva Devi was the queen of Ramagupta. So Ramagupta um, decided to buy off the enemy. So he told Basana not only to he not only gave him a lot of wealth, he also asked him to take his queen along with him and go back to his kingdom. Now this angered the brother Chandragupta II. Chandragupta II, the younger brother of Ramagupta, became very, very angry. Now we are told that Basana was waiting in the tent. So you have Ramagupta hosting Basana in Patliputra. So the Shaka army was there. You have a tent, a lot of tents were put, and Ramagupta was hosting Basana. And in the evening, he was told, Basana was told that the queen would be sent to his tent. Now Ramagupta, Basana was waiting for the queen, Dhruva Devi, to come to his tent. But then it is said that Chandragupta II, he disguised himself as a female. He disguised himself as Queen Dhruva Devi. He quietly entered into the apartment of Basana and killed him. So he killed Basana. Chandragupta II killed Basana. Then he also killed his elder brother Ramagupta. Then he married Dhruva Devi and came to power. This story is given in Devi Chandragupta, the circumstances which brought Chandragupta II to power. And Chandragupta II became the Gupta king. So why did he kill Ramagupta? Somebody who cannot take care of his own wife, what will he take care of the kingdom? So he was justified in doing whatever he did. So Basana had bartered his queen to the enemy, Basana. So isn't it? Ramagupta had agreed to barter his queen, Dhruva Devi, to the enemy, Basana. So somebody who cannot take care of his own wife, how will he safeguard the people of his kingdom, particularly the women of his kingdom? So Chandragupta II is justified in killing even his elder brother Ramagupta in the interest of the kingdom, and he married Dhruva Devi and came to power. This is known as Devi Chandraguptam, written by Vishakadatta. Are you there with me, all of you? This is the story. So backend team, please look at it. Surya says he's not able to access the class. Okay, there may be some technical issue that will be looked into, Surya. Right. So this is the story given in Devi Chandragupta. And these are the circumstances which brought Chandragupta II to power. Now, not that he marries Dhruva Devi and comes to power. Not that Chandragupta II did not have other queens. He married other women, right? And he had a daughter. So we have Dhruva Devi and Chandragupta II. The daughter born to Chandragupta II and Dhruva Devi was Prabhavati Gupta. Prabhavati Gupta. And you see here, please understand this story here. Please understand the life of Chandragupta II, Vikramaditya. So we have in Maharashtra, present-day Maharashtra, this area, present-day Maharashtra, we have a kingdom called the Vakatakas. Vakatakas. So there was a dynasty called Vakatakas, right? And who was the king of the Vakatakas? The king of the Vakatakas was a person called Rudra Sena II. Rudra Sena II. Right? So, Chandragupta II gave his daughter in marriage to Rudra Sena II. Rudra Sena II. Just hold on. So we have Rudra Sena II. So there was this Vakataka king called Rudra Sena II, and Prabhavati Gupta, the daughter born to Chandragupta II, and Dhruva Devi was given in marriage to Rudra Sena II. Are you there with me, all of you? Now look here, what happened? We are told, yeah, I made that correction, Surya. Now look here. We are told that Prabhavati Gupta got some children. She got about 2 children from Rudra Sena II. And unfortunately, Rudra Sena II died. So Prabhavati Gupta, the daughter of Chandragupta II, became a widow. So therefore, what happened is, we see Chandragupta II spending most of his time in the Vakataka kingdom in trying to help his daughter to run the Vakataka kingdom. So we have Prabhavati's father, Chandragupta II, spending most of his time here in the Vakataka kingdom. So this brought the Guptas in close proximity to the Shakas. Shakas were ruling over Gujarat, Malwa region, right? And now most of the time, Chandragupta II is spending his time in the Vakataka kingdom. This brought the Guptas in conflict with the Shakas, and the Aparanta became a bone of contention between these two kingdoms. You see, understand this? What is Aparanta? Konkan coast. This area became the bone of contention between the Guptas and the Shakas. So Chandragupta II waged war against the Shakas. He had earlier defeated and killed Basana, and he had married his sister-in-law Dhruvadevi. Now Basana had been succeeded by another king. Um, his name was Rudrasimha the third. So Chandragupta the second waged war against the Shaka ruler Rudrasimha the third and killed him. So we have Chandragupta II killing Rudrasimha the third. So he killed two Shaka kings. One was Basana and the other was Rudrasimha the third. And Chandragupta II took the title Shakari. He takes the title of Shakari, that is exterminator of the Shakas. Rudrasimha the third can be considered as the last Shaka ruler. ಏನಾಯ್ತಾ
The students who ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತೆ many are facing issues like that not so easy about to access recording now.
ಏನ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಯಾಕೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ
ಸರ್ ಒಂದು ಸಲ ರಿಫ್ರೆಶ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಬರೀತೀರಾ
ಆನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಾ
ಹಲೋ
Yeah, some people are not able to hear, I believe, or see me. Can you refresh your page? There may be some technical problem. Okay. Yeah, refresh your page at the brother. What about others? Are all of you able to see me and hear me? Are you able to see me and hear me, all of you? Yes. Surya also says yes. So everybody is saying yes. They are able to hear me and see me. All of you clear? There's no problem? Clear and audible? Okay, fine. Okay, thank you. I'll continue the class. So, here I told you that Chandragupta II began to spend most of his time in the Vakataka kingdom to help his daughter Prabhavati Gupta to run the Vakataka kingdom, and this brought the Guptas into close contact with the Shakas. Aparanta or Konkan coast became the bone of contention between the Shakas and the Guptas, and Chandragupta II killed Rudrasimha III and ended the Shaka rule. And Chandragupta II took the title Shakari. So he took the title of Shakari, that is exterminator of the Shakas. So Rudrasimha III can be considered as the last Shaka ruler to rule India. He can be considered as the last Shaka ruler. Now, to mark this conquest of the Shakas, we have Chandragupta II issuing silver coins. So Shakas in Western India had issued silver coins. So on the lines of the Shakas of Western India, that is the Kardamaka branch of the Shakas, Chandragupta II was the first Gupta king to issue silver coins on the lines of the Shakas. Did you understand? So he issued silver coins on the lines of the Shakas. He was the first Gupta king to do that. And he shifted his capital to Ujjain. So from Patliputra, Ujjain became the second capital. Ujjain in Madhya Pradesh. Ujjain in Madhya Pradesh became the second capital of the Guptas during the period of Chandragupta II, Vikramaditya. And in his Ujjain court, we have the Navaratnas. Navaratnas. In the Ujjain court, we have the Navaratnas, that is the 9 eminent luminaries, the intellectual giants. And among them, you have Kalidasa. The greatest among these 9 was Kalidasa, Shenku, Betara Bhatta, Gatakarpaka, Kshipanaka. Okay, so these are some of the important literatures. Totally, there were 9 scholars in the Ujjain court of Chandragupta II, Vikramaditya. And after all these brilliant conquests, Chandragupta II took the title Vikramaditya. He took the title Vikramaditya, a combination of valor and sun. Vikrama, valor, and Aditya, sun. So combination of valor and sun, Vikramaditya. And right, so this, and at Delhi, we have this area called Mehrauli in Delhi. So there is an iron pillar there at Mehrauli in Delhi. And on this iron pillar, there is the name of a king called Chanda. So the name of a king called Chanda has been mentioned on this iron pillar. And historians believe this Chanda was none other than Chandragupta II, Vikramaditya. This is the story of Chandragupta II, Vikramaditya. Did you understand, all of you? Clear? Yes, great. So this is Chandragupta II, Vikramaditya for you. We'll come back here on your screen. So you can see Chandragupta II. He succeeded Ramagupta. He killed his brother. Before that, he killed Basana, the Shaka king Basana, and married his sister-in-law Dhruva Devi and came to power. And later, he killed Rudrasimha III. And Rudrasimha III can be considered as the last Shaka king of India. And Chandragupta II took the title of Shakari. And Ujjain became his second capital. Right? So he married Kuber Naga. So he married other women. One was Kuber Naga, the daughter of Gandapati Naga, and he got his daughter Prabhavati Gupta married to Rudrasena II of the Vakatakas. And I told you the story. Right? So once Rudrasena II died, he spent most of his time in the Vakataka kingdom, and that brought Guptas into conflict with the Shakas. And he killed Rudrasimha III and took the title of Shakari, exterminator of the Shakas. And he makes Ujjain his second capital. Ujjain becomes his second capital. And in the Ujjain court, we have the Navaratnas, the 9 luminaries. Okay, though history doesn't support this, but generally it is believed that all these 9 luminaries or Navaratnas were in the court of Chandragupta II, Vikramaditya. Right, and Gupta age is called Golden Age of Sanskrit literature. They were all Sanskrit scholars. So let us look at the important luminaries in the court of Chandragupta II, Vikramaditya. They were in the Ujjain court, not at Patliputra, but in the Ujjain court of Chandragupta II. Kalidasa, Amarasimha, Shenku, Betara Bhatta, Ghatakarpaka, Kshipanaka, they were all literators. The first 6 were literators. Then Varahamihira was an astronomer, astrologer. Vararuchi, expert chef, very good in cooking, expert in Supana Shastra. Sunapa Shastra is cooking, Sunapa Shastra. And Dhanavantri, medicine. So these are the 9 luminaries in the court of Chandragupta II, Vikramaditya. So let us look at some of the important scholars and their works, which was composed in the Gupta period, which were written in the Gupta period. On your screen, so we have the great, among the Navaratnas, the most eminent, prominent was Kalidasa. Kalidasa. He wrote 3 dramas and 4 poems. Abhignana Shakuntalam. So his magnum opus is Abhignana Shakuntalam. I think I have told this story. The love and marriage of Shakuntala with King Dushyanta. Shakuntala was the daughter of Vishwamitra and Menaka. I hope you remember the story. Abhignana Shakuntala. Gandharva marriage. When I explained Gandharva marriage, I had told the story. You remember? All of you. So there's no technical problem, I suppose. All of you are able to hear me. Yeah, Vikramaditya is Chandragupta II. Correct. Right? Okay, then we have Malavika Agnimitram. Malavika Agnimitra, love story and marriage of Malavika with Agnimitra, the Sunga king. So Malavika Agnimitra. So this is romance and marriage of Malavika with Agnimitra. Agnimitra is identified with the Sunga king Agnimitra, the son of Pushyamitra Sunga. Vikram Urvashyam. So marriage of a warrior Vikramaditya with Urvashi. So there was, so story goes that Indra wanted to disturb a king called Vikramaditya, another king called Vikramaditya, and he sent one of his dancers, Urvashi, Apsara, Urvashi, to disturb Vikramaditya. Urvashi was successfully able to disturb Vikrama, and he fell in love with her. And after disturbing him, she went back successfully to Indralok. She had done her job successfully. She went back to Indralok. But once she went to Indralok, she realized that she was missing Vikramaditya. So she tells Urvashi is supposed to have told Indra that Indra, please give me permission. I want to go and rejoin Vikramaditya. It looks like I really have fallen in love with him. So Indra says, okay. He relieves him, he gives him a pink slip, and she comes back from Indralok and joins Vikramaditya. This is a story, Vikramorvashyam. So these are the three dramas written by Kalidasa, and these are three are called Natakatraya. These three are called Natakatraya. Avignana Shakuntalam, Malavika Agnimitram, Vikramorvashyam. Then poems. These are the various poems written by Kalidas. Kumara Sambhava, the birth of Kumara Swami to Shiva and Parvati. So Kumara is Kartikeya, Muruga, and Kumara is supposed to have killed Tarkasura. So there's a story regarding that. So this is Kumara Sambhava, the birth of Kumara Swami to Shiva and Parvati. And Kumara Swami later killed Tarkasura. Then Meghaduta. So you have a Yaksha. Yaksha is a tree spirit. So Yaksha is a tree spirit living in the Vindhya mountains. So this Yaksha was living in the Vindhya mountains, and he is missing his beloved. His wife is in Himalayas, right? So he is in the central India, and his wife is in the Himalayas, and there's a passing cloud. So through that cloud, he sends a message to his beloved. Megha Duta. Megha is cloud. Duta is messenger. So beautifully, man, look at the imagination of Kalidasa. So a Yaksha living in Vindhya mountain sends a message of passionate love to his wife in the Himalayas through a passing cloud. Then Ritu Samhara described different seasons in India. Raghuvamsha, this is a story of Rama, it is incomplete. These are the various poems written by Kalidas. Then Vishnu Sharma writes a short story, Panchatantra, and this was later translated into Arabic language by Ibn al-Mukaffa under the title Kalile Dimna. So this became Kalile Dimna later in Arabic language. Panchatantra, what is called Arabian Nights in English. Okay, Arabian Nights. Then Amara Simha writes Amara Kosha. There's a Sanskrit lexicon. Lexicon is a collection of dictionaries. Collection of dictionaries. Lexicon. Vararuchi. So a grammar book he writes called Prakrita Prakasha, the only Prakrit poet amongst the Navaratnas. Dhanavantri on medicine. So he writes Roga Nidan, Vaidya Chintamani. Shushruta, Shushruta Samhita. So he was a surgeon, a book on surgery. Aryabhatta. So he talks about heliocentric theory, that is, the sun is the center of the universe and the planets revolve around it. He was the one who gave the true causes of he was the one who said that the earth rotates on its axis and planets revolve around the sun. And he speaks about the solar and lunar eclipses, the true cause of solar and lunar eclipses. Aryabhatta gave the theory of zero. He calculated pi. He calculated the circumference of the earth, which is very near to the modern estimation. So these are all the great works of Aryabhatta. He writes books like Surya Siddhanta, Aryabhatyam, right? Decimal system and zero was invented by Aryabhatta. Then Varahamihira, so Encyclopedia of Indian Sciences, he writes a book called Brihat Samhita and Pancha Siddhantika. Then Brahmagupta is called Indian Newton because he was the one who spoke, who said that it is the nature of the earth to attract and keep things to itself. So in other words, he was speaking about gravitation. It is the nature of the earth to attract and keep things to itself. So he was, in a way, speaking about gravitation theory. He writes a book called Khandana Khadya, Brahmagupta. And Shudrakas, Mritchakatika, the little clay card, talks about the society of the Gupta period. Pious Brahmin Charudatta falling in love with a courtesan was called Vasanta Sena. Then Bharavi, who wrote Kirata Arjunya. So this is the combat of Lord Shiva with Arjuna. Of course, Bharavi was in the Pallava period. So Pallavas also ruled parallelly along with the Guptas. And Bharavi writes this epic poem called Kirata Arjuniam. When I come to Pallava, I'll tell you the Pallava topic. When I come to that in the in today's class, I'll speak about the story Kirata Arjunia, the fight between Shiva in the form of a hunter and Arjuna, Kirata Arjunia. Then Subandhu, who wrote Vasavadatta, Romance and Marriage of King Prince Kandarpaketu with Princess Vasavadatta. So this is a prose romance. Then Vishakadatta's Mudra Rakshasa. I've discussed this when I did Mauryan period. It talks about the Mauryan revolution. So Vishakadatta, Mudra Rakshasa, and Devi Chandragupta, the circumstances which brought Chandragupta II to power, right, after killing his brother Ramagupta. So Vishakadatta writes two dramas, Mudra Rakshasa, Mr. Rakshasa and his signet ring, and of course Devi Chandragupta. Aryabhatta was one of the scholars in the Gupta period, right? He was an astronomer, astrologer. Okay, then Vagbhata, Ashtanga Samgraha, a summary of 8 branches of medicine. So divide the words into 2 or 3. It becomes easy to remember. Ashtanga. Ashta means 8 in Sanskrit. Ashtanga Samgraha. So a summary of 8 branches of medicine written by Vagbhata. So these are the great scholars during the Gupta period, and these are the various Sanskrit books written on various subjects by these scholars. Now, Chandragupta II was succeeded by his son Kumaragupta. On your screen, you can see here. So we have discussed this. So Sri Gupta, Chandragupta the first, then Samudragupta, then Chandragupta II, then we come to Kumaragupta, then Skandagupta. So Kumaragupta succeeded Chandragupta II. So what are the highlights of Kumaragupta's rule? We'll come to that here. So first of all, please understand, Kumar, during his period, we have a tribe, a powerful, wealthy tribe called the Pushyamitras. So they began to attack the Gupta Empire and they defeated the Gupta army, the Pushyamitras. And we have the first attack of the Hunas. So Hunas or Huns, they were from Central Asia. So we have the black Huns and the white Huns. So they are divided into 2 parts, 2 sections, black Huns and white Huns. So the white Huns, the epithelites are the ones who are supposed to have attacked the Gupta Empire. And Kumaragupta, so this first attack of the Hunas from Central Asia happened during the period of Kumaragupta. And Kumaragupta sent his son Skanda. So Prince Skanda was sent by Kumaragupta at the head of a large Gupta army to fight against the Hunas. And Skandagupta was able to defeat the Hunas, right? So this is a great achievement on the part of Skandagupta. So Prince Skanda was able to repel the Huna attack. Now Kumaragupta is the person who founded the Nalanda University. Nalanda University, which is in Bihar now, was founded by him, Nalanda University. And Hyun came to India during the period of Harshavardhana. Hyun gives us a lot of information about the Nalanda University. It was a residential university. More than 8,000 students used to stay there, including teachers. About 1,500 teachers used to be staying in the university. And Hyun gives us, various subjects which were taught in the university. The alumni of this university, that is important students who had passed out from that university, Dharmapala, Dharmakirti, etc. He also mentions the names of libraries of Nalanda University, right? So Nalanda University was founded by Kumaragupta, and Kumaragupta is also the person who began the worship of Kartikeya in North India. Kartikeya, also called Muruga or Skanda. Muruga. So Muruga, as we have seen, was the most important god of the Tamils. So Muruga is also called Kartikeya, and worship of Kartikeya in North India was introduced by Kumaragupta, right? So this is about Kumaragupta for you, and Kumaragupta was succeeded by his son Skandagupta. So by his son Skandagupta. So this is the Nalanda University founded by Kumaragupta. It is in ruins, and you see we have the 12th century attack of Bakhtiyar Khalji. Bakhtiyar Khalji sent his 2 officers. One was Aibak, Qutbuddin Aibak. The other was Bakhtiyar Khalji. So Muhammad Ghori sent two officers, Aibak and Bakhtiar Khalji, and Bakhtiar Khalji destroyed all the universities in all the Buddhist universities, Nalanda, Vikramashila, Udandapura, Somapura, Jaggadala, because there was a lot of wealth in these universities, and Buddha was worshipped like a god. Images of Buddha were made, idols of Buddha were made, and Buddha used to be worshipped like a god. And they were iconoclasts, that is, they did not believe in idol worship. The invaders like Bhaktiya Khalji. So they destroyed the Buddhist universities, broke up those idols and images of the Buddha, and plundered and looted those universities. And practically, Buddhism disappeared from the land of its birth. So it was destroyed in the Turkish attacks of the late 12th century. Kumar Gupta was succeeded by his son Skanda Gupta. Now, Skanda Gupta, during his period, we have again the Hunas attacking the Gupta Empire, and Skanda decisively defeated the Hunas. So, as a prince, he had defeated the Hunas first time. Now, as the king, he again defeated the Hunas, and for this reason, many historians like K.P. Jayaswal consider Skandagupta as the greatest, because the Hunas were responsible for the destruction of the Roman Empire. The Hunas had destroyed the Roman Empire. The same Hunas were decisively defeated by Skandagupta. And this was no mean achievement. It was a great achievement on the part of Skandagupta. And he is considered, according to K.P. Jayaswal, is the greatest of the Guptas, not Samudragupta. In fact, he says he should be considered as the greatest of the Guptas for that reason. And he installed a victory pillar, a Jayasthamba. Victory pillar means Jayasthamba at Bitari in Madhya Pradesh. So he installed a Jayasthamba at Bitari in Madhya Pradesh to mark his victory over the Hunas. And one of his governors, Chakrapalita, so he was the governor of Junagadh during the time of Skandagupta. His name was Chakrapalita. He, for the last time, repaired the Sudarshana lake. Right? Then we have Narsimhagupta Baladitya, he was one of the last rulers of the Gupta dynasty. And according to Hyun he built a Mahavihara, a monastery at Ratnagiri in Odisha. So the Ratnagiri is in Odisha. So he built a Mahavihara. Vihara is a monastery for the residential purposes of monks. So he built a Mahavihara or a monastery at Ratnagiri in Orissa. And Narsimhagupta Baladitya defeated Mihirakula, who was a Huna king. So you have Toramana, Mihirakula. Many of these Hunas settled down in India. They took to worship of either Shaivism, either they became Shaivites or Jains. They worshipped either Shaivism, Shiva, or they became Jains. Narsimhagupta Baladitya, one of the Gupta kings, defeated Mihirakula and pardoned him. The last Gupta king was, of course, Vishnugupta. Now, please understand, this has to be understood properly. Now we have so this is the Gupta Empire, right? You see, we have the Silk Route passing through the northwest portions of India. This is the Silk Route passing through the northwest portions of India. And we have discussed about the Silk Route in the last class, the post-Maurya period, isn't it? So silk was discovered, rather, the Chinese developed their own method of making silk. They will rear silkworms, feed it mulberry leaves, and then the silkworm starts weaving a cocoon around itself. And the cocoon containing the silkworm is dropped in hot boiling water. The silkworm dies, and the Chinese would extract silk. This is the Chinese method of making silk. Now, what happened is, a route had come into existence, which has come to be called as the Silk Route. This was a 10,000 kilometer Silk Route. And this was, what was the distance of this route? 10,000 kilometers. And it traversed from China, through major parts of Central Asia, northwest portions of India, all the way to Kashgar. Now, I told you, the Kushanas used to control the Silk Route. The Silk Route used to pass through Kushana territory. The Kushana kings would block the silk merchants and extract taxes from them, collect taxes from them in the form of gold and silver coins. And that way, more gold was flowing into North India. Gold and silver coins were flowing into North India. And the early Gupta kings, up to Skandagupta, enjoyed this proceeds from the Silk Route. So a lot of taxes were collected even by the Gupta kings through this Silk Route. But then what happened is around 550 AD, understand this please, around 550 AD, the Europeans learned the technique of making Chinese silk. You see, the Chinese had kept it a secret. They had not divulged the secret of making silk. And Europe was losing a lot of gold and silver coins to China because there was a lot of demand for Chinese silk in Europe, and European countries had to pay a huge amount of gold and silver coins to the Chinese. Now, the Europeans now learned the technique of making silk from, how did they learn this technique? They smuggled silkworms into Europe. Europeans smuggled silkworm into Europe. They began to cultivate their own mulberry plants. Okay, and once mulberry plants they began to cultivate, they were able to rear the silkworms, make them eat mulberry leaf, and they began to make their own silk. So once the Europeans began to make their own silk, the demand for Chinese silk collapsed. Demand for Chinese silk collapsed, and the silk route and the towns and cities which had come into existence on the silk route also collapsed. So this is how the silk route collapsed. Right now, what is important here is, till now, a lot of wealth was flowing into North India in the form of gold and silver coins through this silk route. Once the silk route collapsed, there was dearth of shortage of gold and silver coins in North India. The later Gupta kings found it very difficult. Understand this: later Guptas found it very difficult to pay their officers salaries in the form of gold and silver coins. Okay, they found it very difficult to pay salaries. So what the later Gupta kings began to do is they began to give away part of their territory, okay, as a fief in place of salary, because they had no money to give salaries. So what did they give? What did they do is they began to give away part of their territory. Look here on your screen. So this is the king at the apex. This is the Gupta king at the center, Patliputra, and he began to give away a portion of his territory to his officers. Okay, who are these officers? They are called Samantas. Samantas. Samanta means feudatory. In English, feudatory. Understand this. So you have feudatory A, B, C, D, E, F, etc. Now look here. So the king began to give away portions of his territory as a fief, okay, to his Samantas, along with delegation of powers. For example, Samanta A is given the duty to maintain law and order in this area. So you can see this is his fiefdom. Okay, this is his fiefdom. So he is given the power to maintain law and order, L and O. So he has got police powers, maintain law and order, police powers. So therefore, to maintain law and order, he has to keep an army. So he has the right to recruit an army. Then he'll collect land revenue from the farmers. Okay, so LR is land revenue. So he has got power to tax, all right? And he also acts as a judge. So he's got judicial powers. Now please understand, whom do we call a king? Whom can we call a king? We can call somebody a king if that person has two powers. One is the power to punish and the power to tax. Power to punish and power to tax. Now, on your screen, if you see, this feudatory A has the power to punish. He's got judicial powers. And he has the power to tax. He's collecting taxes, fiscal powers. And he's also maintaining an army there in that area to maintain law and order. So feudatory A, similarly feudatory B, C, etc., are virtually kings in that area. Okay, they have all the powers with them. But then this is called Samanta Chakra. You can see A, B, C, D, E, F, etc. are Samantas. So this is the Samanta Chakra, and such a system will work beautifully when the king is strong. If the king is strong and powerful, he will control the Samantas. Okay, he's able to control the Samantas. And when the king went to war, these Samantas will assist the king in his wars with their army. They'll send an army to the king, and they will assist the king in his wars. Now, as you can understand, the central authority was very strong and the periphery was weak, right? But then later what happened is, let us say the king became weak, or he was succeeded by a weak ruler. These Samantas asserted their independence. They wanted to become free. They wanted to break free from the control of the king. So they will assert their independence. And this became the norm after Skandagupta. You have later Gupta kings who began to give away land grants because they had no money to give them salaries in the form of gold and silver coins. The Silk Route had collapsed. So there was shortage of wealth, shortage of money, and therefore they began to give land grants to these officers or samantas along with delegation of powers. And this is the beginning of Indian feudalism. This is known as feudalism. The beginning of Indian feudalism is from here, from the late Gupta period, and it became quite common during the post-Gupta period, where the kings were dependent upon their samantas for running the affairs of the kingdom. So once Skandagupta died, we have later Gupta kings who began to make land grants like this. Okay, and once the Guptas were no more there, once Vishnugupta, the last Gupta king died, we have the Samantas proclaiming themselves independent, and a number of independent kingdoms were born in North India. For example, we have the Maukharis. Maukharis proclaimed themselves independent and they ruled from Kannauj. We have the Chandras of Bengal, ruling from Bengal, the Chandras, the Pushyabhutis or the Vardhanas ruling from Staneshwar. They're also called the Vardhanas, right? We have the later Guptas ruling from Malwa. Later Guptas ruled from Magadha with Patliputra as capital. A branch of the Hunas ruled from Malwa in central India. So this is how North India got divided, right? And of course, we have the Gaudas ruling from Bengal with Pragjotishpur as their capital. These are the successors of the Guptas. Did you understand what I just now said? Please raise your hands. Did you understand what I now said just now? Please raise your hands quickly so that I can go further. Hello? Yeah, great. So this is what happened towards the end of the Gupta period, right? Now on your screen. So by 550 AD, so Vishnugupta was the last king. By 550 AD, the Guptas had lost all their territory. So what is the reason for the decline of the Guptas? The repeated Huna attacks, number one. Rise of feudatories. So you have weak rulers. As a result, feudatories asserted themselves. I just now spoke about the feudatories or samantas. Decline of foreign trade. When I say decline of foreign trade, it is a decline of the Silk Route. Decline of Silk Route. So all these things undermined the Guptas. Right? So these are the dynasties which succeeded the Guptas. A number of kingdoms were born in North India. The Hunas ruled over Malwa, parts of central India, and later Yashodharman of Malwa defeated the Hunas. Maukharis ruled from Kannauj as capital. Later Guptas ruled from Magadha, that is Patliputra was their capital. Maitrakas of Vallabhi ruled over Gujarat. The Chandras over Bengal. So these are all the feudatories of the Guptas. So once the Gupta Empire became weak, they asserted their independence, these feudatories, and proclaimed themselves independent, and they established independent kingdoms. Right now, let us look at other aspects of Gupta rule. The Gupta Empire was divided into provinces. On your screen, the Gupta Empire was divided into provinces. Provinces were called Buktas. And who was the governor of a Bukta? Uparika. So Uparika was the governor. So provinces were called Buktas, and the governor of that province was called Uparika. Provinces were subdivided into districts called Vishayas, under officers called Vishayapati. The village was under a grama, under a village headman, Gramani. So you have a headman who was the head of the village. Cities were administered by Nigama Sabhas, that is merchant councils. Nigama Sabhas are merchant councils. So merchants played an important role in running the affairs of cities in the Gupta period. Nigama Sabhas. So let us look at some of the important officers in the Gupta administration. Sandhi Vigrahaka, in charge of foreign affairs. Minister of War and Peace, in charge of foreign affairs. For example, Harisena was Sandhi Vigrahaka and Mahadandanayaka, Chief Justice. Kumaramatya, higher officials employed in different departments. Mahabaladikrita, commander of military forces. Bhatta Ashwapati, in charge of cavalry, commander of cavalry. Katuka Pilupati, in charge of the elephantry. Danda Pasadikarana, head of the police department. Danda is punishment. Danda, police. So Danda Pasadhikarana, head of the police department, Shaulkika, customs officer, Hiranika and Audrangika, tax collectors. So they remember these important designations of officers, right? You'll get more in the textbook. So keep an eye on that. And of course, I told you how to remember them. Make cue cards, 4 into 6 centimeters cue cards, 4 centimeter by 6 centimeters. Write these names along with their designation in small letters, and then you try to keep on reading them whenever you have time. Keep revising them. That's the best way to remember such names, such terminologies. Revision is the mantra. There's no shortcut. Revise. What are the other aspects of Gupta rule? I have told you last class. A lot of development happened during the Gupta period. Even in the religious sector, we have Bhakti-centric Hinduism evolved in its fullest form. So Bhagavatism merged into Vaishnavism during this period. Please understand. And within Hinduism, we have two major sects which were born. So Hinduism, we have two major sects which came into existence during the Gupta period. One is Shaivism and Vaishnavism, worship of Shiva and Vishnu respectively. So all the sects within Hinduism either joined Shaivism or either joined Vaishnavism. So this happened during the Gupta period. And please understand, we have Guptas who were followers of Vishnu. They were Vishnu worshippers. And Varaha was their family deity. Varaha is boar incarnation of Vishnu. Varaha is the boar incarnation of Vishnu. And we have the concept of Dashavatara. Vishnu is supposed to have taken 10 avatars on this earth. So Dashavatara concept comes into existence during this period. And as I told you, Bhagavatism, worship of Krishna, which was popular in the post-Maurya period, Bhagavatism became part of Vaishnavism during this period. And Krishna was reduced to one of the avatars of Vishnu. So what are the 10 popular avatars of Vishnu? We have 10 incarnations of Vishnu. So in this order, Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Narasimha, Vamana, Parashurama, Rama, Krishna, Buddha, Kalki. 10 avatars. Matsya is fish. So Vishnu is supposed to have taken the form of a fish, a gigantic fish, and saved Manu from floods. Then Kurma, tortoise. So when the gods and the demons, when the Rakshasas and the Asuras, Suras or Asuras were churning the ocean for Amrut, we have Lord Vishnu who took that form of a tortoise and carried the Mandara mountain. Varaha in the form of wild boar, and he killed demon Hiranyaksha. So demon Hiranyaksha had taken Mother Earth into the ocean. So Vishnu is supposed to have taken the form of Varaha, a wild boar, and killed Hiranyaksha. The brother of Hiranyaksha was Hiranyakashipu. So here we have Vishnu taking the form of man lion, that is Narasimha. Okay, Hiranyakashipa, very interesting story, Prahalad story. So Prahalad born to demon Hiranyakashipa. He became a Vishnu worshipper, and father Hiranyakashipa was very angry with Prahalad. So Hiranyakashipa had taken a boon from Brahma, isn't it? Neither inside nor outside, inside the house or outside the house, or neither in the day or in the night, neither by a man or a woman, right? Neither by a demon or an asura, neither by gods or demons, I should be killed. So Vishnu very smartly took the form of man lion, neither man, neither animal. So here he was both man animal, neither inside or outside. So at the threshold, he is supposed to have killed Hiranyakashipa and opened up his intestines. Neither in the day or in the night. So in the dusk, when it is not totally dark, neither is it fully bright. So in the dusk, at the threshold, he's supposed to have killed him. Very interesting story, right? This is Narasimha. Then Vamana, he took the form of Vamana to kill Bali. And Onam is celebrated by Malayalis too, in memory of Emperor Bali Chakravarti, Onam, right? So he's supposed to have taken the form of Bali, in the form of Vamana to kill Bali, right? And then Parashurama, in the form of warrior sage, and he began to kill all the Kshatriyas on this earth, because King Kartavirya had killed the father of Parshuram, that is Sage Jamadagni. So I'll tell you the story when I do Rajputs. In medieval India, we have this topic called Rajputs, and there is this story, the Agnikula theory of the Rajputs. We'll talk about it. So Parashurama story. Then Sri Rama, so he took the form of a bow So King Rama took the form of a human being with a bow, holding a bow, and he killed Ravana. Krishna, who killed Kamsa, then Buddha. So Buddha is also considered to be one of the avatars of Vishnu. I told you what was the reason for this. So, a lot of people, a lot of Shudras were converting themselves to Buddhism. And in order to stop this migration from Hinduism, we have Buddha, one of the avatars of Vishnu. So the Shudras got confused because the Brahmanas told them that Buddha was also one of the incarnations of Vishnu. So he was made an avatar of Vishnu. And lastly, Kalki was yet to come. These are the 10 popular avatars of Vishnu: Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Narasimha, Vamana, Parashurama, Rama, Krishna, Buddha, Kalki. So the avatars concept comes into existence during the Gupta period. Further, we have a number of sects within Shaivism. We have extreme forms of Shaivism and moderate forms of Shaivism. So please understand, Pashupati Mahadeva of the Harappans became Rudra in the Vedic period and became Shiva during the Gupta period. So he becomes Shiva during the Gupta period. So Shiva concept comes into existence from the Gupta period onwards, and so Shiva concept comes from there, and we have extreme forms of Shaivism and moderate forms of Shaivism. So Shiva is worshipped in the form of Linga, as you know. So Shiva is worshipped in the form of Linga, and we have what are the extreme forms of Shaivism? Pashupata, Kapalika, Kalamukha, Aghoris, Goraknathis, Kanfata yogis. These are all extreme forms of Shaiva sects. What is the meaning of these extreme forms of Shaiva sects? Now, please understand what is the traditional understanding of Lord Shiva. Shiva is supposed to be a loner. He is a lone man. Okay, Bairagi as he is called. So he was a loner. He generally frequents burial grounds, so he stays in the burial grounds. He smears ashes on his body. He has a snake as one of his jewelry. Right, he's always meditating. Right, when he is happy, he dances. That is Ananda Tandava. When he's very angry, very angry, he also dances. That is called Rudra Tandava. And then he opens his third eye. Right. So this is the traditional understanding of Shiva. Now, many of the saints, many of the sects were born in ancient India and even in medieval India who began to copy Shiva, stating that Shiva does all those things, therefore we will also do that. So they would also meditate, right? They will also frequent burial grounds. They will also carry a skull, as a begging bowl. So these are the extreme forms of Shaiva sects. Like, for example, Pashupata, Kapalika, Kalamukha, Goraknathis, Aghoris, Kanfata yogis. That is, Kan is ears. So they will slit their ears. They used to slit their ears. Naga sadhus. Even now in North India, we have Naga sadhus. During Kumbh Mela, thousands of these Naga sadhus come. They are mostly naked. They live in the lower reaches of the Himalayas. They perform a lot of meditation and spiritual activities. So they generate body heat through meditation and such things. And many of them are worshipped. And many people have yogic powers, siddhis as they are called. So we have these extreme form of Shaiva sects like Pashupata. This was founded by Lakulisa in Gujarat. Lakulisa he wrote a book called Panchartha Vidya. Kapalika, Kalamukha, these are offshoots of the Pashupata sect. Aghori Shaivism. Aghoris are supposed to eat dead bodies. Aghora Shivacharya was the founder, right? So then we have moderate Shaiva sects like Trika in Kashmir, founded by Abhinava Gupta, Pradya Bigna, founded by Vasugupta in Kashmir, and the students of Vasugupta, Kalata and Somananda, founded Spanda Shastra, again in Kashmir. These are moderate Shaiva sects. Then Shuddha Shaiva or Shiva Advaita, founded by Srikanta Shivacharya in Central India. Veera Shaivism, founded by Basavanna, a 12th century reformer from Karnataka. So Basaveshwara or Basavanna. So 12th century reformer. And so Veera Shaivism or Lingaitism. Basavanna was a religious reformer of 12th century Karnataka. So Veera Shaivism. So these are the moderate Shaiva sects, right? Then whether the Gupta period can be called as a golden age, please understand, we cannot call the Gupta period or any period as a golden age. On what basis have some historians, classical historians of yesteryears, called the Gupta period as a golden age on some basis. Remarkable developments in some areas, like for example, literature, painting, art, and architecture. On the basis of remarkable development in these areas, literature, painting, art, and architecture, sciences like astrology, astronomy, mathematics, the Gupta period was called as a golden age. But we cannot call the Gupta period as a golden age because um, uh, it was, you can only consider as a classical age, not a golden age, because many corruptions existed even during the Gupta period in the society. For example, you have sati. We have seen the first inscriptional evidence of sati, the Iran inscription. Okay, so sati has a corruption existed, untouchability existed in the Gupta period. Untouchability existed, child marriages existed, slavery existed, right? Then discouragement was given to widow remarriage. So widow remarriage was discouraged. Then, of course, we have women being denied education, property rights, etc. So there was no equality in the society. Women were looked down upon. So therefore, when all these corruptions existed, how can you call Gupta period as a golden age? Definitely not. We can call Gupta period only as a classical age. Remarkable development in literature, painting, art, and architecture, etc. But therefore, only on that basis we cannot call Gupta period as a golden age. We can call it as a classical age. We never had a golden age in our history. This concept of golden age is nothing but a myth. Are you there with me, all of you? Yeah, you're right, Surya. All clear? Why you cannot call the Gupta period as a golden age? Okay. Now let us come back here. I told you we have both Hinduism and Buddhism promoted by the Gupta kings, though they were Vishnu worshippers. They were Vishnu worshippers. Both Buddhist and Hindu architecture was promoted. We have the Panchayatanas style of temple building, which arose during the Gupta period. Gradual evolution of structural temples. We have the Sanctum Sanctorum, okay, the main Sanctum Sanctorum, and around the Sanctum Sanctorum, four shrines, all under the same roof. This is called Panchayatana style of temple building. So Panchayatana style of temple building arose during the Gupta period, and we have three forms of temple building. North Indian style is called Nagara, South Indian style is called Dravida, and a combination of these two, Nagara and Dravida, is called Vesara. Vesara. So three forms of temple building arose during the Gupta period, including Panchayatana style of temple building. You see, the Guptas promoted the Sarnath school of Buddhist art, which centered around Sarnath near Kashi. So they promoted the Sarnath school of Buddhist art. And the most important example of Sarnath school of Buddhist art is Buddha in the Dharma Chakra Pravartana Mudra. You can see here, this is called Buddha in the Dharma Chakra Pravartana Mudra. So Buddha gave his first sermon in the deer park at Sarnath, Isipatana. So he gave his first sermon or discourse in the deer park at Isipatana or Sarnath. Okay, and he's sat in this position that is called Dharma Chakra Pravartana Mudra. So that is the statue which is found in Sarnath Museum now in UP. And then we have, of course, the Sultanganj Buddha, 7 feet tall copper statue of the Buddha, standing Buddha. You can see here, this is 7 feet tall, 7 feet in height, copper statue, 7 feet in height, and Buddha is in a standing position with his Abhaya Hasta. This has been taken to England by the British, and they've kept it in the Birmingham Museum. This is the Sultanganj Buddha. So the best quality copper and iron was made by the Guptas. So this is a Sultanganj Buddha, right? And of course, we have many Buddhist caves. The Guptas built a number of viharas and chaityas. So many chaityas. A chaitya is a Buddhist prayer hall or a temple. So Buddhist prayer hall is called a chaitya. Vihara is a monastery. So these are found. These have been built by the Guptas in many places. And of course, we have the rock cut caves at Ajanta. Many caves at Ajanta in Aurangabad district, Maharashtra, belong to the Gupta period. And also 9 caves at Bagh were built by the Guptas. So many of the caves at Ajanta belong to the Gupta period, including 9 caves at Bagh in Madhya Pradesh. So these are the Ajanta caves. We'll talk about it when we do painting, painting topic as part of art and culture. And these are the Bagh caves in Madhya Pradesh. So see, the Gupta period is also known for the construction of structural temples. So earliest Hindu temples belong to the Gupta period. Earliest Hindu temples, both cave and structural temples, were built by the Guptas, dedicated to both Shiva and Vishnu. And we find them at Udayagiri, or 20 Hindu cave temples at Udayagiri. Where is Udayagiri? Vidisha district, Madhya Pradesh. So earliest Hindu cave temples belong to their period, and we have the Panchayatana style of temple building. And we have the best example of Gupta sculpture, 5 feet tall statue of Varaha saving the Mother Earth, found at Udayagiri in Vidisha district, Madhya Pradesh. This is Vishnu statue, 5 feet tall Vishnu saving the Mother Earth. You can see here, Mother Earth is here. So he has saved Mother Earth. So this is a statue found at Udayagiri in Vidisha district of Madhya Pradesh. Okay. Are you there with me? All clear till here? This is about the Gupta period. Let us look at the questions. Let's look at the questions here. Zero was invented by whom? So on your screen, let us look at the questions from the Gupta period. Aryabhatta. Zero was invented by Aryabhatta, 1995. Then match the following 1996 question they've asked. Vishaka Datta. He wrote 2 dramas, isn't it? Chandraguptam and Mudra Rakshasa. So Vishaka Datta drama. Varahamihira. Varahamihira was an astronomer. Varahamihira. Medicine, Charaka Samhita. So he was a surgeon, he was a physician. So Charaka was a physician, medicine. Brahmagupta, mathematician, mathematics. So the answer is C, right? Yeah, please refresh your page, Shanmukam. Backend, please solve Shanmukam's problem. I'm continuing my class. So this is the answer. C is the answer. Then number 3, the silver coins issued by the Guptas were called what? 1997 question, Rupaka. So it is called Rupaka. Gold coins were called dinars and silver coins were called Rupaka. Which one of the following ports handled the North Indian trade during the Gupta period? 1999 question. North Indian trade was handled by Tamluk, Tamralipti. Tamralipti is in Bengal. Tamluk, as it is called, Tamluk or Tamralipti. So this was the one which handled the North Indian trade during the Gupta period. Not Bharuch. Bharuch is in Gujarat. Kalyan of Bombay. Kambe, Khambayat in Gujarat. So they're not that, only Tamluk, Tamralipti. From the 3rd century AD, when the Hun invasion ended the Roman Empire, the Indian merchants relied more and more on the dash. 1999 question. They relied on Southeast Asian trade. They relied on trade with Southeast Asia, right? Then we move on. With reference to the cultural history of India, the term Panchayatana refers to what? 2014 question. With reference to the cultural history, the term Panchayatana refers to a style of temple construction, isn't it? A style of temple construction. Then, with reference to Indian history, which of the following is or are the essential elements of feudal system? 2015. So I have explained to you feudal system. So please try to answer this question. A very strong central political authority and a very weak provincial or local political authority. No, this cannot be the answer. This is a wrong statement. It should have been ulta. It should have been a very weak centralized political authority and a strong provincial or local political authority. So if the central authority was strong, okay, there was no question of the Samantas asserting themselves. Secondly, emergence of administrative structure based on control and possession of land. This is correct. Creation of lord-vassal relationship between the feudal lord and his overlord. This is also correct. Which of the statements are correct? So 2 and 3 are correct. So I told you the king gave away powers to his Samantas. Police powers, law and order powers, judicial powers to act as a judge, and also to collect taxes, fiscal powers. So, creation of lord-vassal relationship between the feudal lord and his overlords. And whenever the king went to war, the feudal lords were supposed to assist the king in his duties, in his wars. Right? So, 2 and 3 is the answer. Why did Buddhism start declining in India in the early medieval times? So why did Buddhism start declining in India in the early medieval times? 2010 question. The answer is Buddha was by that time considered as one of the incarnations of Vishnu and thus became a part of Vaishnavism. Right? So therefore, one of the reasons for the decline of Buddhism is this, because of the concept of avatara. Buddha was made an avatar of Vishnu, and many of the Shudras who were converting themselves to Buddhism began to stop converting themselves and they began to worship Vishnu, thinking that Buddha is one of the avatars of Vishnu. So that was one of the reasons for the decline of Buddhism. And with reference to forced labor or Vishti in India during the Gupta period, which one of the following statements are correct? So Vishti is also one of the corruptions which existed in the Gupta period. One of the reasons you can cite for not for the Gupta period not called as a golden age. So Vishti, it was considered as a source of income for the state, a sort of tax paid by the state. That is correct. Totally absent in Madhya Pradesh, Kathiawar regions, no. It was there all over the Gupta Empire. Forced laborer was entitled to weekly wages, no. He was not paid anything. The eldest son of the laborer was sent as the forced laborer, no. So which of the statements are correct? Only one is correct. Rest are all wrong. Okay. Then, who of the following Gupta kings performed Ashwamedha Yaga? Who performed the horse sacrifice? So, sorry for the inconvenience here. Many people are having some net issue or technical problem. So, the backend team is will be answering those queries. And whatever you have missed, please listen to the recorded version. I know you are sitting at early morning, 5 o'clock, waiting for the class to begin. But I'm sorry for this inconvenience. It is not in my hands. So you just listen to the recorded version, and the backend team will look at it. So we will try to see that such a problem doesn't arise again. So please check the internet connection from your side also. Sometimes that could be an issue, right? If you have a lot of buildings around your area, the net can be an issue. So that could be a problem. But then the backend team will look into it. So, who of the following Gupta kings performed Ashwamedha Yaga? Ashwamedha Yaga was performed by Samudragupta and Kumar Gupta, not Chandragupta the first, not Chandragupta the second, but it was performed by only 1 and 4, that is Kumar Gupta and Samudragupta, right? So tomorrow I'll be doing medieval India. I'll be starting medieval India tomorrow. We'll come back here, match the following by using the codes given below. Indian Shakespeare. So Kalidasa is called Indian Shakespeare. Indian Newton. So Indian Newton is nothing but Brahmagupta, isn't it? Um, Brahmagupta is called Indian Newton. Indian Einstein. Einstein is called, of course, Acharya Nagarjuna because of his theory of voidness. Shunyavada. So Shunya or wideness, and Milton is supposedly Ashwagosha. The answer is D, right? So this is the end of the Gupta period. We come to the next period, next topic, post-Gupta period. Post-Gupta period. Yeah. So post-Gupta period, you just take a 10 minutes break and come back. 10 minutes break you take and come back. All of you. Gupta period, post-Gupta period, I'll begin after 10 minutes. So last chapter of ancient India, post-Gupta period. Today I'll finish post-Gupta period and ancient India, and tomorrow I'll be beginning with medieval India, right? So 10 minutes, is it fine? 10 minutes break. So it is 7:40 on my watch. We'll meet at 7:50. 10 minutes break. 10 minutes break. I'll write here 10 minutes break. We rejoin at 7:50. 7:50 rejoin. 7:50 a.m. rejoin, right? Good morning. Welcome back. Am I audible and visible? Am I audible and visible? Can we begin this last session? So before the break, I have finished with Gupta period. We will be beginning with a new chapter, post-Gupta period. And once I finish this chapter, this terminates ancient Indian history syllabus. And from tomorrow onwards, we are going to begin medieval India. People who have missed the first part of today's class, for whatever reason, technical issues, etc., you please listen to the videos. Don't worry about it. It's a very simple topic. Things are very clear in the PPT as well as in the lecture. Please listen to the lecture and go through the PPTs, and that should solve your problem. Now, be in the moment, focus on what is before you. Don't forget about the past. Okay, what happened before the break. Now focus now, and then you can go back and listen to the recorded version of this class. Okay, whatever you missed. So you will not have much, you will not lose much. Now look here on your screen. Post Gupta period. So post-Gupta period. So on the ruins of the Guptas. So we look at the reasons for the decline of the Guptas, the assertion of feudatories. Once the Guptas declined after Skandagupta, we have weak successors. So the later Gupta kings were not able to hold the Gupta empire together. So we have the feudatories asserting themselves, decline of foreign trade, okay, and the repeated attacks of the Hunas. All these reasons led to the decline of the Guptas, and we have the feudatories or the Samantas under the Guptas who asserted themselves, they declared themselves independent, and we have in North India a number of kingdoms which arose on the ruins of the Gupta Empire. So on your screen, these are the various kingdoms which arose on the ruins of the Gupta Empire. The Pushyabhutis, they were all serving under the Gupta kings as feudatories, except the last two. Except the last two, the others were serving as feudatories. So, who are the feudatories of the Guptas who became independent? Pushyabhutis, who ruled from Staneshwar in Haryana. They are also called Vardhanas, the Pushyabhutis or the Vardhanas. So, they ruled from Staneshwar in Haryana. The greatest of the Pushyabhuti kings was Harshavardhan. Then we have the Maukharis. Maukharis ruled from Kanauj in UP as their capital. The Maitrakas ruled from Vallabhi in Gujarat. So Vallabhi was the capital in Gujarat, the Maitrakas. Kamarupa, a old name of Assam, is Kamarupa. The capital was Pragjotishpur. Then Gauda. Gauda means Bengal. You mark the spelling, please. Gauda, not Gouda. Gouda is Gauda from Karnataka. This is Gauda, Gauda. Gauda is the old name of Bengal. Capital was Karna Suvarna. Karna Suvarna. And King Shashanka of this dynasty is the one who cut off the Bodhi tree under which the Lord Buddha had attained nirvana. So Buddha had sat under the sacred fig tree or the Bodhi tree and had attained nirvana. Shashanka, who was a Shaivite, so he was a Shiva worshipper. Shashanka was a Shaivite, Shiva worshipper. So he cut off the Bodhi tree under which Lord Buddha had attained nirvana. So Gaudadesh, and of course later Guptas who ruled from Patliputra as their capital. So these are the successors of the Guptas. And down south we have two dynasties which always were fighting against each other, the Chalukyas of Badami or Vatapi. So they were not under the Guptas. In south we have Chalukyas of Badami. Badami was their capital, Badami in the Bagalkot district of Karnataka. They ruled the Deccan area, and the Pallavas of Kanchipuram, Kanchi near Chennai, about 50 kilometers from Chennai. We have this city called Kanchipuram, famous for the Kamakshi temple there, and Kanchi is famous for silk. So that was the capital of the Pallavas, and they ruled South India. So we'll talk about the Pallava Chalukya conflict after we finish with the Pushyabhutis. So among the successors of the Guptas, the most important were the Pushyabhutis or the Vardhanas. So in this chapter, post-Gupta period, I'll be focusing on the Pushyabhutis or the Vardhanas and the Pallava Chalukya conflict. Okay. So you can see here on your screen, this is the political fragmentation of India after the end of the Gupta rule. We have the Vardhanas or the Pushyabhutis ruling from here. Staneshwar was their capital. Gauda Desha, Bengal, was ruled by Shashanka with Karna Suvarna as capital. We have the Maukharis ruling here in UP with Kanauj as capital. Then, of course, we have the Pallavas here and the Chalukyas here. The Maitrakas ruled over Vallabhi. So these are the pretty much the important successors to the Guptas. Now let us talk about the Vardhanas or the Pushyabhutis. Vardhanas or Pushyabhutis. Now focus on the class, Ashish, Bayal, just focus on the class, and then you can ask your queries later. That will be solved. Don't worry. Have patience. It will be solved. Sometimes technical issues happen. That's the nature of an online class. So please have patience. Everything will be okay. And whatever you have missed, please listen to the recorded lecture, and you would have not missed anything. So we'll come back here. Among the successors of the Guptas, the most important were the Pushyabhutis. Pushyabhutis or the Vardhanas. They are also called the Vardhanas. Vardhanas. So, what was their capital? Their capital was Thaneshwar or Thaneshwar or Staneshwar in Haryana. In Haryana, present day Haryana. That was their capital. Now, let us talk about the Pushyabhutis or the Vardhanas, the most important dynasty which succeeded the Guptas. So, they were serving under the Guptas, and once the Guptas became independent, once the Gupta Empire became weak, they proclaimed themselves independent. So, who was their founder? Maharaja Pushyabhuti. So, founder was a person called Maharaja Pushyabhuti. So, he was the founder. I'll go back here. You can see here on your screen, Maharaja Pushyabhuti. He was their founder, and he took the title of Maharaja. And it indicates that they were vassals of the Guptas. They were serving under the Guptas as feudatories. Then the first important king is Prabhakara Vardhana. Now I'll start from here on your screen. Prabhakara Vardhana. So the first important king was Prabhakara Vardhana. Prabhakara Vardhana. So the founder was Maharaja Pushyabhuti. First important king, Prabhakara Vardhana. This Prabhakara Vardhana had two sons and one daughter. Look here on your screen. Who were his children? Rajyavardhana, Harshavardhana, and a daughter called Rajashri. So he had a daughter called Rajashri, and this Rajashri was given in marriage to the Maukhari ruler of Kanauj. So you have the Maukhari. So you go back here on your screen. You can see on your screen. These are the Maukharis. Okay, Maukharis. So the Vardhanas were ruling here from Haryana, and the Maukharis were the neighbors of the Vardhanas. So you see, the Rajashri was given in marriage to the Maukhari king called Grahavarman. Grahavarman was the ruler of Kanauj. And what was the dynasty he belonged to? Maukharis. He belonged to the Maukhari dynasty. So Rajashri was married to Grahavarman, the king of the Maukharis, with capital Kanauj. Now, story goes that Prabhakara Vardhana died. So Prabhakara Vardhana died. And by the law of primogeniture, that is the eldest son succeeding the father, Rajavardhana became king. Rajavardhana succeeded to the throne at Staneshwar. Right now, what happened is so when Rajavardhana was ruling the kingdom, we have two enemies of the Vardhanas as well as the Maukharis. We have two enemies of the Vardhanas as well as the Maukharis. That is Devagupta of Malwa. Devagupta of Malwa. He was the king of Malwa. Malwa in Madhya Pradesh. And Shashanka of Gauda. Gauda is Bengal. So these two fellows joined together. King of Malwa Devagupta, Shashanka of Gauda Desha or Bengal joined together. They attacked Kanauj. On your screen, attacked Kanauj, killed Grahavarman, and imprisoned Rajashri and occupied Kanauj. So Devagupta of Malwa, Shashanka of Gauda joined together in an alliance. They attacked Kanauj, killed Grahavarman, and imprisoned Rajashri. Now, Rajavardhana had just now come to power at Staneshwar. His father Prabhakavardhana had died and Rajavardhana was the king. So Rajavardhana, it is said, was distraught. He was not eating his food, not drinking water, not sleeping properly because his sister was in the prison in the hands of the enemies and he had lost his father recently. Now he has lost his brother-in-law, Grahavarman, and his sister is in the hands of the enemies. So we have the Pradhana Samantas, that is the main Samantas, ministers, the Pradhana Samantas. They advised Rajavardhana. They told him, "You are the king. If you lose hope like this, what will happen to the subjects? You do what is necessary at this moment, what is appropriate at this moment." So Rajyavardhana, after being counseled positively by the Pradhana Samantas, he decided to attack Kanauj. So Rajyavardhana took his army and he attacked Kanauj. Okay, and he managed to kill Devagupta. So Devagupta was killed by Rajyavardhana, but Shashanka deceitfully killed Rajyavardhana. So by cheating, Shashanka killed Rajyavardhana. So Rajyavardhana killed Devagupta, right? In turn, Sasanka killed Rajyavardhana. So Sasanka killed Rajyavardhana. So Sasanka killed Rajyavardhana. These are the circumstances which brought Harsha to power. These are the circumstances which brought Harsha to power. And it said that around this time, Rajyashri escaped into the forests of central India. So she escaped into the forests of central India. Somehow she escaped from the prison. So these are the circumstances which brought Harsha to power at Staneshwar. Harsha was only 16 years, it is said, when he came to power at Staneshwar. So what did he do? He sent search parties to locate his sister. So he sent search parties to locate his sister, and he took his army and then he attacked Kanauj. He attacked Kanauj, and Harsha was able to defeat Shashanka. So Harsha defeated Shashanka and drove away Shashanka from Kanauj and occupied Kanauj. So in the very first year of his reign, Harsha makes Kanauj his capital. So he transferred his capital from Staneshwar to Kanauj. His sister was also located in the forest. She was found out and she was brought back safely. So Harsha comes to power in 606 AD. He ruled till 647 AD. And Harshavardhana is considered to be the greatest of the Vardhanas. Are you clear till here? Whatever I've told you. You want me to repeat anything? Can I move on? Circumstances which brought Harsha to power. So he's Prabhakara Vardhana, right? Very clear. Okay, very good. So Prabhakara Vardhana died. He was succeeded by Rajyavardhana. And that is the time when Devagupta and Shashanka attacked Kanauj, killed Grahavarman and imprisoned Rajashri. Rajyavardhana went to save his sister and his brother-in-law, but it was too late. His brother-in-law already had been killed. So Rajyavardhana in turn killed Devagupta, but Shashanka in turn killed Rajyavardhana. And these are the circumstances which brought young Harsha to power. He defeated Shashanka, drove Shashanka away from Kanauj and occupied Kanauj and declared Kanauj as his capital in the very first year of his reign. His sister was also located and brought back safely to the capital. And Harsha, was a great conqueror. He brought most of North India under his control. Bihar, Bengal, Orissa, okay, UP, major parts of North India were conquered by Harshavardhana, and Harsha took the title of Shiladitya. Harsha Shiladitya. He takes the title of Shiladitya. Devagupta belongs to the Gupta. No. Devagupta belonged to Malwa. He was the king of Malwa. Devagupta. Okay, Sham. What was their earlier capital? Staneshwar. Staneshwar Akshata. Staneshwar was the capital. Staneshwar in Haryana. That was their capital. Now Harsha makes Kanauj his capital. In the very first year of his reign, he makes Kanauj his capital. So please understand, Guptas ruled from Patliputra. The Vardhanas initially ruled from Staneshwar. Later, they ruled from Kanauj. Kanauj is in New Uttar Pradesh. They make Kanauj their capital. Now, Harsha took the title of Shiladitya and he brought most of North India under his control. Now, please understand, how do we know about Harsha? We come to know about Harsha through Bana Bhatta. Bana Bhatta was his court poet. So, Bana was his court poet. And also, we come to know about Harsha through Hyun Swang or Hyun Chuang. So, he was the second Chinese traveler to come to India, Hyun Sang. And Bana was the court poet of Harsha. Bana wrote a few books. What are the books he wrote? He wrote Harsha Charita. He writes Harsha Charita, which is the biography of Harsha. Harsha Charita. Kadambari. And Parvati Parinay. So in Sanskrit language, he writes these poems. Harsha Charita is the biography of Harsha, written by Bana. Then Bana tells us that Harsha himself was a scholarly king. Harsha himself wrote a few books. He wrote a few dramas. What are the dramas written by Harshavardhana? He writes um, uh, Ratnavali, Ratnavali, Nagananda, Nagananda, and Priyadarshika. These are the dramas written by Harshavardhana, Ratnavali, Nagananda, and Priyadasha. These are all in Sanskrit language. So Bana writes in Sanskrit. Harsha also wrote in Sanskrit. Now, Harsha was a Shaivite. Harsha was a Shaivite. He was a Shiva worshipper. Because of Hyunsang, under the influence of Hyunsang, Harsha converted himself to Mahayana Buddhism. So he became a worshipper of Mahayana Buddhism. So he adopted Mahayana Buddhism. So the person responsible for converting Harsha was Hyunsang. And Hyunsang gives us a lot of information about Harshavardhana. Hyunsang tells us that Harsha was a very he was a very welfare-oriented monarch. He was a very welfare-oriented monarch. And Hyunsang tells us that once in 5 years, I'll use another page with your permission. Look here on your screen. Once in 5 years, that is quinquennially. Quinquennially. Quinquennially means once in 5 years. Once in 5 years, quinquennially. Harsha used to conduct a grand conference at Prayaga. So there used to be a grand conference at Prayag. This is called Mahamoksha Parishad. Mahamoksha Parishad. And in this grand conference, which took place once in 5 years or quinquennially, Hyunsang tells us that Harsha used to give away all his wealth. He used to donate all his wealth. Donate all his wealth to the Brahmanas and Buddhist monks, Brahmanas, Buddhist monks, etc., to the poor and the needy, and including whatever jewels he had on his body, finger ring, necklace, even the crown, etc. And he used to come back to the palace with just a pair of clothes. So this is the information given by Hyunsang. Once in 5 years, there was a grand program or a conference which took place at Prayaga. That is now Prayag or Allahabad as it was called earlier. This was called Mahamoksha Parishad, in which Harsha used to donate all his wealth to the poor and to the Brahmanas, Buddhist monks, etc. And he used to come back to the capital with just a pair of clothes. Then we are also told by Hyunsang that Harsha conducted a grand conference at Kanauj. This is called Kanauj Mahasabha. Kanauj Mahasabha. And who was the president of this Kanauj Mahasabha? Hyunsang. So Harsha appointed Hyunsang as the president of the Kanauj Mahasabha. Right? So Harsha built a number of dharmashalas. He built a number of dharmashalas, hospitals for the poor and the needy. And he was a welfare-oriented monarch, and he was also a scholarly king. Now, we have something called Nilopitu. Nilopitu are the archives of Harsha. The archives of Harsha are known as Nilopitu. So important events of the reign of Harsha, both good and bad, were recorded, and that is called Nilopitu. So the archives of Harsha are called Nilopitu. And you see, once he conquered North India, major parts of North India were conquered by him. Harsha, we are told, made preparations to conquer South India. So on your screen, you see this is South India for you. So once he conquered major parts of North India, Harsha makes elaborate preparations to conquer the south. We are told by both Bana and Hyunsang that Harsha made elaborate preparations to attack South India. Probably he wanted to copy the Mauryas. Mauryas ruled over the whole of India, isn't it? So similarly, Harsha probably wanted to ape or copy the Mauryas. So we are told that he made elaborate preparations. He got his army ready. He got himself physically fitter, and he made preparations in all respects to attack South India. And then he attacked South India. So what happened in this particular war? So you see, in the present region of Karnataka, in the present region of northern Karnataka, there was one kingdom called the Chalukyas. The Chalukyas, with who ruled from Badami. Badami was their capital, Badami or Vatapi, in the present day Bagalkot district of Karnataka. So on the banks of the Narmada, you have the Narmada river here. We have the Narmada river. So on the banks of the Narmada, we are told that there was a battle which was fought. We exactly don't know where this battle took place, but it is generally believed it took place on the banks of the river Narmada, somewhere on the banks of the river Narmada. So Harsha versus the king of the Chalukyas by name Pulakesi. Pulakeshi the second. Pulakesi the second. Right? Or in Kannada, Immadi Pulakeshi. So on the banks of the Narmada, there was a battle which was fought. In this battle, we are told that Harsha was defeated. Harsha was defeated by Pulakesha II. Now, how do we know this Harsha was defeated? We have the court poet of Pulakeshi by name Ravi Kirti. Ravi Kirti was the court poet of Harsha. Ravi Kirti. Right? Shreya, in Kannada, Immadi means, don't worry about it. Immadi is second. Immadi is second. Right? Mummadi is three, like that. Don't worry about it. In Kannada, it's called Immadi Pulakeshi or Pulakeshi the second. So Ravi Kirti, the court poet of Pulakeshi tells us in the Aihole inscription. So we have an inscription called the Aihole inscription. Aihole. In Kannada, it's called Aihole. It's not Aihole, it is Aihole. It's spelled as Aihole inscription. So in the Aihole inscription, we are told that Harsha, we are told by Ravi Kirti that Pulakeshi, my master Pulakeshi, defeated the Sakala Uttara Padishwara. So Harsha had the title Sakala Uttara Padishwara. Sakala Uttara Padishwara. That was a title taken by Harsha, the Lord of entire North India. That was the title of Harsha. So Ravi Kirti in his Aihole inscription tells us that my Lord, my master Pulakeshi II, defeated the Sakala Uttara Padishwara. And after this particular victory over Harsha, Pulakeshi himself took the title Parameshwara. He himself took the title Parameshwara or Dakshina Pateshwara is also called, or Dakshina Pateshwara, the Lord of South India. Dakshina Pateshwara. That's a title taken by Pulakeshi. So Harsha's dream of conquering the South remained a dream. So in fact, Ravi Kirti says that my master broke the Harsha of Harsha. Harsha means happiness. So Ravi Kirti says that my master Pulakeshi broke the Harsha of Harsha. That is, he broke the happiness of Harsha by defeating him. So Narmada was decided as the boundary line. Narmada was marked as the boundary line between Pulakeshi and Harshavardhana. Harsha died in 647 AD. Harsha died in 647 AD. We don't know much about what happened to the Vardhana dynasty after the death of Harsha. So Harsha dies in 647, right? He died in 647 AD, and we don't know much about what happened to the Vardhana dynasty after the death of Harsha. We are told that we have a ruler called Arunaswa. Arunaswa. He was ruling the. He is supposed to have usurped the throne, or Arjuna Varma. He's also called Arjuna Varma. So Arjuna Varma. He's supposed to have usurped the throne or snatched away the throne from the successor of Harsha, this Arunaswa, and he was ruling. So that is a time when we have a Chinese ambassador who came to the court of Harsha. His name was Wang Huanse. Wang Huanse. So he was sent by the Emperor of China who belonged to the Tang dynasty. So we have the Tang dynasty ruling China, and Harsha had good diplomatic relations with China. So Wang Yutze came to the court of Harsha and he was shocked to see somebody else sitting on the throne, that is Arunaswa. So what Wang Yutze did is he fought against Arunaswa and he defeated Arunaswa, and he's supposed to have replaced the son of Harsha or the successor of Harsha on the throne at Kanauj. So at Kanauj he replaced Arunaswa with the successor of Harsha. But after that, we don't know what happened. We have another Chinese traveler who came to India by name Itzing. Itzing visits India between 675 and 685 AD. And Itzing doesn't make a mention of the successors of Harsha. So this is a sequential order in which these Chinese travelers came. Fahian came during the time of Chandragupta II Vikramaditya. Hyun came during the time of Harshavardhana. Then after Harsha's death, Wang Yutse came, who was a the third Chinese traveler. And the fourth was Itzing. Okay, so Itzing doesn't make much mention about the successors of Harsha. This is about Harshavardhana. Are you there with me? He is considered to be the last great emperor of North India. He's considered to be the last great emperor of ancient India, Harshavardhana. Yeah, Kanauj Mahasabha was organized to spread Buddhism. You can say that Kanauj Mahasabha was presided over by Hyun Sang. Yes. Okay. So Devagupta, he did not belong. See, Devagupta was the king of Malwa. You can see here the successors of the Guptas. So Devagupta, see, many of the rulers had Gupta as their surname. So it doesn't mean that they belong to the Gupta dynasty. You understand? Sham. So he was the king of Malwa. Devagupta was the king of Malwa. He did not belong to the Gupta dynasty, right? So don't get confused here. Wang Yutse defeated Arunaswa. Arunaswa was uh, one of the people who had usurped the throne from the successor of Harsha. So Arunaswa was an usurper. Usurper means who had snatched away the throne from the successor of Harsha. So Wang Yutse, the general of the Tang king, defeated Arunaswa and replaced the successor of Harsha on the throne at Kanauj. But Itzing doesn't make any mention of the successors of Harsha after that. Right? So this is about Harshavardhana. On your screen, you can see Pravakaravardhana had two sons, Rajyavardhana, Harshavardhana. Then Rajashri was his daughter, who was given to Grahavarman, the king of Kanauj, the Mokhari king of Kanauj. Then after Prabhakavardhana, Rajyavardhana became the king. But during his reign, Shashanka of Gauda, Devagupta of Malwa, defeated and killed Grahavarman, imprisoned Rajashri, and occupied Kanauj. But Rajyavardhana was able to defeat and kill Devagupta, but in turn was killed by Shashanka. And these are the circumstances which brought Harsha to power. He is considered to be the greatest of the Vardhana dynasty. So he occupied Kanauj after driving away Shashanka from there. Then he also defeated Dhruvasena II of Vallabhi. He also defeated Dhruvasena II of Vallabhi, Harshavardhana. He brought most of North India under his control, like Bihar, Bengal, Orissa, Assam, etc. Hyun Sang visited his kingdom. You see, this is Hyun Sang for you. So this is the empire of Harsha on your screen in pink color. This is the conquest of Harsha, the empire of Harsha. And this is Hyun for you. So Hyun came by the land route and went back by the land route. You remember Fahian? He came by the land route and went back by the sea route. But Hyun comes by the land route like this. He comes by the land route. Why did he come? To visit the holy place of the Buddha and collect Buddhist manuscripts. And he went back by the land route, like the blue color line. And he traveled extensively. He came to South India. He visited the court of Pulakeshi the second, this Hyun He also visited Kanchipuram, the Pallavan capital, and met Narsimhavarman the first. So he's traveled extensively, this Hyun and he writes a book called Siyuki. He writes a book called Siyuki, Hyun Sang. So Harsha's court poet Bana wrote all these poems, Harshitarita, Parvati Pariyunai, and Kadambari. Harsha wrote many plays, Ratnavali, Rangananda, Priyadarshika. So the Madhuban plate inscription, Madhuban is a place in UP. The Madhuban plate inscription, the Sonpat inscription, Sonpat is in Haryana, Sonepat as it is called now. So these two inscriptions help us to know the chronology of Harsha. And the Banskera inscription, Banskera again is in UP. So the Banskera inscription gives us the signature of Harsha, right? So he built hospitals, dharmashalas. He was a welfare-oriented king. And we have the Mahamoksha Parishad, which was held once in 5 years, quinquennially at Prayag, where Harsha donated all his wealth. And he also organized the Kanauj Mahasabha at Kanauj. It was a religious conference presided by Hyun Sang. And Harsha was defeated by Pulakeshi II, the Badami Chalukyan ruler, the Battle of Narmada. So So in the Aihole inscription, we are told that Pulakeshi defeated the Sakala Uttarapadishwara Harshavardhana, right? So maintenance of public records was a salient feature. Harsha had good relations with Bhaskara Varman of Assam. So all these things I have discussed. And the archive of Harsha's period is called Nilapitu. Important events were recorded, both good and bad, during the period of Harsha. That is called Nilapitu. Harsha died in 647, and after him we have a person called Arunaswa. He had usurped the throne. Wang Yutse, who came as an ambassador to the Chinese king, defeated Arunaswa and reinstated the successors of Harsha on the throne. But Itzing, the Chinese traveler who came between 675 and 85, did not provide any information regarding the successors of Harsha. Right? In the 8th century, early 8th century, Kannauj was ruled by a king called Yashovarman. So we are told that Yashovarman wrote a drama called Ramabhyudaya. So we don't know anything about the successors of Harsha. History is very unclear regarding that. So in the 8th century, early part of the 8th century, Kannauj was ruled by Yashovarman, and he patronized these scholars called Bhavabhuti, who wrote Malati Madhava, Uttara Ramacharita, and Mahavira Charitra. Vakpati, who wrote Gaudavaho, the conquest of Gaudadesh, Bengal, by Yashovarman. Right? So this is about, and of course we have the famous rock cut temple of Masroor in Himachal Pradesh, Kangra Valley, Himachal Pradesh. This belongs to the period of King Yashovarman. He was a patron of art and architecture. This is about Harshavardhana. Are you there with me? Clear? This is about Harshavardhana. So Kartika, I am teaching post-Gupta period. So, right? So let us come to the Chalukyas of Badami. We have the Pallava Chalukya conflict. Who was Yashovarman? He was ruling Himani. He was ruling Kannauj in the early part of the 8th century AD. As you can see here, he was ruling Kannauj in the early part of the 8th century AD. He was a king of Kannauj. We don't know much about the successors of Harsha, as I've already discussed. Right? Now let us talk about the Chalukyas of Badami and the Pallavas of Kanchipuram. Now look here on your screen. On your screen, this is the map. Okay. Now we have the Chalukyas ruling here. We have the Chalukyas ruling this area. And these are the Pallavas. The Pallavas. Now, the Chalukyas and the Pallavas. So let us talk about the Chalukya Pallava conflict. Very interesting topic. So there was a fertile belt of land in this area between the Chalukya and the Pallavan kingdom that is called the Krishna Tungabhadra Basin. The KT Basin, the Krishna Tungabhadra Basin, also called the Raichur Doab. Now, what is the reason as to why the Chalukyas and the Pallavas kept on fighting against each other? Now, please understand, the main source of income for a king, as I've told you earlier, is land revenue. The main source of income for the king was land revenue. The Chalukyas were a plateau kingdom. They were a plateau kingdom. They ruled the Deccan Plateau. It is a semi-arid zone. It's a semi-arid zone, not much of rainfall. So it is semi-arid. And therefore, they used to grow dry crops like ragi, bajra, jowar, etc. So the amount of income for the Chalukyan king was very limited. Only one crop in a year. And after the harvest, the Chalukyan king will collect taxes from the farmers. So, and moreover, apart from this, limited income for the Chalukyan king, the Chalukyas were also a landlocked kingdom. So they had no access to the ocean, the Arabian Sea, right? So the Chalukyas had limited income. Whereas the Pallavas were a coastal kingdom. The Pallavas were a coastal kingdom. They had fertile deltas in their kingdom, fertile deltas, where they could grow 2 to 3 crops in a year, 2 to 3 crops in a year. And after every harvest, the Pallavan king will collect taxes from his farmers. And also he will collect taxes, he will collect custom duties from the merchants who used to trade via the Bay of Bengal. So the Pallavas were very prosperous, right? And between these two economically contrasting kingdoms, there was a fertile belt of land known as the Krishna Tungabhadra Basin. The Chalukyas were desperate to control this area. They wanted to control this area, the the Krishna Tungabhadra basin, because if they bring that area under their control, their economic condition will improve. And the Chalukyas were desperate to control the Krishna Tungabhadra basin. And why should the Pallavas allow the Chalukyas to gain control over the Krishna Tungabhadra basin? The Pallavas were also interested in the Krishna Tungabhadra basin. Though they were prosperous, they still wanted it. And this became the bone of contention. The Raichur, though, the Krishna Tungabhadra, though, became the bone of contention between the Chalukyas and the Pallavas. And therefore, they kept on fighting against each other. So here, what we notice is geography determined history. Geography was the one which determined history. Geography determined history in this case between the Pallavas and the Chalukyas. This is the introduction to this topic. Are you there with me? The rest are all factual information on your screen. These are the Chalukyas of Badami. So they were Vishnu worshippers. You can see boar. They worshipped the boar, facing right. So this was the Lanchan emblem of the Chalukyas, the Lanchana or royal emblem. So you can see here, Chalukyas of Badami. They ruled from Badami or Vatapi in Bagalkot district of Karnataka. Earlier it was in the Bijapur district, but now with reorganization of states, which happened a few years back in Karnataka, it is now in the Bagalkot district of Karnataka. So the capital of the Chalukyas was Badami, also called Vatapi. And we are told in the inscriptions that they were Hariti Putras of the Manavya Gotra. In their inscriptions, they called themselves as Hariti Putras of the Manavya Gotra. Varaha was their emblem, divine boar facing right. And they fought over the Krishna Tungabhadra basin against the Pallavas. So you can see on your screen, this is the Pallavan kingdom on your screen, Pallavan kingdom, and this is the Chalukya kingdom. And what was the Krishna Tungabhadra basin? This one. You can see this blue color line. This is the Krishna Tungabhadra basin. They fought over this area, these two kingdoms. Right? This is Badami or Vatapi on your screen, the capital of the Chalukyas of Badami. So this is the fort. You can see on top the fort of Badami, right? Kartika, I'm sorry for whatever is happening, but then I'll speak to the concerned people after the class. You just focus on the class now, and please take the recorded version and make it up whatever you have missed. So yeah, there was religious tolerance amongst the Chalukyas. Yeah. So yeah, there was religious tolerance amongst the Chalukyas. Now we'll come back here. Now, who were these Chalukyas? So according to some historians, they were of local origin. They belonged to that area called Badami or Vatapi. They belonged to that local that area. And their army was called Karnatabala. The army of the Chalukyas was called Karnatabala, and many of their kings had Arasa as their capital. Arasa has their names ended with Arasa. Arasa in Kannada means king. So, like for example, Katti Arasa, Mangal Arasa. So, from that, from the fact that their army was called Karnatabala, and that many of their kings had names ending with Arasa or king, suggests that they were of local origin. This is one theory. Basically, everybody knows, all the historians agree that they were locals belonging to that area. Then we have another theory called Ayodhya origin, that they came from Ayodhya. The ancestors of the Chalukyas came from Ayodhya and established a kingdom here. And then we have Bilhana, who writes Vikramanka Devacharita. So Bilhana was in the court of the Kalyana Chalukyas, right? And Bilhana, he was a Kashmir poet. Bilhana, he writes a book called Vikramanka Devacharita, and he says that the word Chalukya is from the word Chuluka of Brahma. The hollow hand of Brahma is called Chuluka, and the word Chalukya is from there. So the consensus of opinion is that they were locals. They belonged to the local region of Badami or Vatapi. Now let us look at the political history of the Chalukyas of Badami. We have Jayasimha. He was the founder. He was the founder of this dynasty, Jayasimha. Jayasimha was the founder. And the first important king was Pulakeshi. So initially, they served as the feudatories of the Kadambas of Banavasi. So the Chalukyas were under the Kadambas. Kadambas were the first dynasty of Karnataka to establish a kingdom. So they were the first to establish a kingdom in Karnataka region, Kadambas. They ruled from Banavasi. or Vaijayanti as their capital. So the Chalukyas were the feudatories under the Kadambas. So Jayasimha was the founder of the Chalukya kingdom and he served as a feudatory under the Kadambas. But Pulakeshi the first, his son, declared himself independent. So he defeated the Kadambas and he proclaimed the independence of the Chalukyas. And he makes Badami his capital. Badami or Vatapi becomes the capital. Okay, he's the first independent king who took the title of Maharaja the Raja, the first independent king. Pulakeshi the first independent ruler. So on your screen, so you have Jayasimha, he was the founder, feudatory of the Kadambas of Banavasi. Pulakeshi, who was the first independent ruler, and he made Badami his capital. And we have an inscription called Badami inscription written by Kappe Arabhatta. He tells us that he performed an Ashwamedha sacrifice. That Pulakeshi the first performed an Ashwamedha sacrifice. So Badami inscription was written by Kappe Arabhatta in Kannada language. Right? Then we have, of course, on your screen, you can see Kirtivarma. So I'll tell you the story. Look here on your screen. Pulakeshi the first. Okay. Okay. Now look here. So Pulakeshi the first had two sons. One was Kirtivarma, and Mangalesha. So after Pulakeshi the first died, Kirtivarma became the king, and Kirtivarma expanded the Badami kingdom, the Chalukyan kingdom. He conquered the neighboring areas, Alupas of South Canara, Mauryas of Konkan, etc. So he expanded the kingdom, and his younger brother was Mangalesha. So Kirtivarma had a son. His name was Pulakeshi the second. So Kirtivarma's son was Pulakeshi the second, and he was still a minor, was still a young boy. And unfortunately, Kirtivarma was on his deathbed. He was dying. So he called his younger brother Mangalesha and told Mangalesha, I am going to die. It looks like I'm going to die. My son is still small. He's still young. Therefore, you please take care of my son as well as the kingdom. And once my son, Pulakeshi II, comes of age, once he becomes an adult, you hand over the kingdom to him. So this is the promise taken by Kirtivarma. Mangalesha agreed to this. Mangalesha said he will do that. So Kirtivarma died and Mangalesha became the regent. He became the Pratinidhi. Pratinidhi means representative or regent in English. And Mangalesha began to rule as the representative of Pulakeshi II. Right? The Mangalesha was a great warrior. He expanded the kingdom further. He plundered Lata, Malwa, Gurjaras. So Lata is southern Gujarat, Malwa, Madhya Pradesh. So Gurjaras. So he defeated all those areas, and he plundered and looted them. And he expanded the Chalukyan kingdom further. Mangalesha is called the father of Chalukyan architecture. He's called the father of Chalukyan architecture. So there's a cave. Temple in Badami, cave number 3. And this cave number 3 is a Vishnu temple. This was constructed during his period. So therefore, he's called the father of Chalukyan architecture. And the Mahakuta inscription, he issued the Mahakuta inscription. Mahakuta is a place near Badami. So he issues this Mahakuta inscription, which talks about the genealogy of the Chalukyas. What is genealogy? Who was the founder? Who was the first king, second king, etc. So the family tree of the Chalukyas are given in the Mahakuta inscription. Now, Mangalesha, so he was acting as a regent, he was ruling, and then Pulakeshi was slowly growing up and he became an adult. He was now ready to take care of the kingdom. But Mangalesha, uncle, refused to hand over the kingdom to Pulakeshi II. So there was a civil war. In the Chalukyan kingdom between Pulakeshi and his uncle Mangalesha. There was a civil war. Now, in this civil war, in a battle called Elepattu Simbige. So in the Battle of Elepattu Simbige, this place is located in the present Anantapur district of Andhra Pradesh. So in the Elepattu Simbige battle, Pulakeshin II killed his uncle Mangalesha and he came to power. He took power in his hands. So this is how Pulakeshin II comes to power, 609. He comes to power in 609 AD, right? Pulakeshin II. And he is considered to be the greatest of the Chalukyan kings. Pulakeshi is supposed to be the greatest of the Chalukyan rulers. Now, when the civil war was going on, some feudatories had declared themselves independent. They had rebelled against the central authority. So he defeated all those feudatories. He killed Appaika. A person called Appaika was killed by him. Govinda was pardoned by him. And then he began to expand rapidly. He was a great warrior. He was a great conqueror, Pulakesh II. So he began to conquer the neighboring areas, the Kadambas of Banavasi, the Alupas of South Kendra, the Mauryas of North Konkan, etc. Um, and he conquered Elephanta, so off the coast of Bombay. So if you go to Bombay, you have the Gateway of India. So if we take a ferry from Gateway of India, and if you travel one hour by ferry, we go to an island called Elephanta. Those days, Elephanta was ruled by the Mauryas of North Konkan. Okay, in local language, in Marathi language, Elephanta is called Gharapuri. So Pulakeshi conquered the Elephanta Islands, right? Now, Pulakeshi is a person. Understand this, please. We have Pulakeshi attacking the east coast of Andhra Pradesh. So we have the Chalukyas ruling here, right? And this is the east coast of Andhra. So Chalukyas were ruling this area. So he attacks the east coast of Andhra Pradesh and he conquers this area. So we have two rulers here, Ranadurjayas, Vishnu Kundins, and Ranadurjayas. So Pulakeshi II defeated the Vishnu Kundins and the Ranadurjayas and conquered the east coast of Andhra Pradesh. So this area, east coast of Andhra, was conquered by him, and he appointed his cousin brother called Kubja Vishnuvardhana. His cousin called Kubja Vishnuvardhana was appointed as the governor of these conquered territories with Vengi as capital. So capital became Vengi. Vengi was the capital of this conquered area. Kubja Vishnuvardhana was appointed as the governor by Pulakeshi II. Now please understand, Pulakeshi was killed in 642 AD. Once Pulakeshi was killed in 642 AD, how he was killed, I'll come to that in some time. So this Kubja Vishnuvardhana declared himself independent. And he established a separate dynasty in the east coast of Andhra who have come to be called as the Chalukyas of Vengi. They're called the Chalukyas of Vengi. They're also called the Eastern Chalukyas of Vengi or the Eastern Chalukyas. Now, please understand, these Chalukyas, the original Chalukyas, are called Western Chalukyas for that reason. These are called Western Chalukyas. The Kubja Vishnuvardhana, after the death of Pulakeshi II, established the Eastern Chalukya dynasty, which ruled for almost 450 years. They ruled for almost 450 years. The Chalukyas of Vengi, or the Eastern Chalukyas of Vengi, as they are called. Are you there with me, all of you, till here? Civil War section. I said Civil War section is this. Pulakeshi I had two sons, Kirtivarma and Mangalesha. And Kirtivarma expanded the Chalukyan kingdom further, right? And his son was a minor. Pulakeshi II was a minor, the son of Kirtivarma. And therefore, Kirtivarma told his younger brother Mangalesha to take care of the kingdom because he was about to die and his son was still small. So he asked him to act as the regent or representative for his son and rule the kingdom. And once his son became adult, once he became an adult, hand over the kingdom to him. So Mangalesha was a great warrior, as I told you. He expanded the kingdom. But then when it came to handing over the kingdom to his nephew, Pulakeshin II, there was a civil war. Uncle refused to hand over the kingdom. In fact, Mangalesha wanted his own son to become the king. So this resulted in a civil war in which Pulakeshi killed his uncle Mangalesha in the Elepattu Simbige battle. Right? And Elepattu Simbige has been located around Anantapur district of present-day Andhra Pradesh. And he comes to power. So Pulakeshi was a great warrior. Did you understand? Arasa, Zeba, you see, regarding the origin of the Chalukyas, we have the army of the Chalukyas. What was the army of the Chalukyas called? Karnatabala. Karnatabala. This was the army of the Chalukyas. And we have the Chalukyan kings who had the name Arasa next to them. Arasa in Kannada means king. So it's a Kannada word, Arasa. Arasa means king. So the fact that the army was called Karnatabala and the fact that their kings had names called Arasa next to their first name shows that they were of local origin. They were of Kannada origin, according to some historians. Right? That's the meaning of it. Did you understand, Sandeep? I hope you're able to catch me, whatever I'm telling you. Zeba, right? Okay, great. Let me come back here. So I was discussing Pulakeshi. So Pulakeshi conquered the east coast of Andhra Pradesh, and after his death, we have a separate dynasty which came into existence, known as the Eastern Chalukyas of Vengi, or the Eastern Chalukyas of Vengi, or the Chalukyas of Vengi. Now look here. When Harshavardhana attacked South India, Harsha wanted to conquer South India, isn't it? So when Harsha conquered South India, it was the same Pulakeshi who defeated Harshavardhana. On the bank of Narmada, there was a serious battle fought. There was a serious battle fought, and on the banks of the Narmada, Harsha was defeated by Pulakeshi II. Now, this Pulakeshi is responsible. Pulakeshi has been held responsible for starting the dynastic wars with the Pallavas. You see here on your screen, these are the Pallavas ruling here. These are the Pallavas. This is the Pallavan kingdom. What was the capital of the Pallavas? Kanchipuram. Kanchi was their capital. Now, Pulakeshi was a great warrior. He was a warmonger also. And Pulakeshi has been held responsible for starting the dynastic war with the Pallavas. So what he did is he attacked the Pallavan kingdom. Pallavas were minding their business. Pulakeshi attacked the Pallavan kingdom. And who was the king of the Pallavas? Mahendra Varman the First. Understand this. Mahendra Varman the First. Mahendra Varman the First. So in the battle of Pulalur, we have Pulakeshi defeating and killing Mahendra Varman the First. And large parts of the Pallavan kingdom was conquered by Pulakeshi. So Pulakeshi conquered the northern part of the Pallavan kingdom, and he defeated and killed Mahendra Varman the First. Okay, this is the first attack of Pulakeshi. In the battle of Pulalur, he defeated and killed Mahendra Varman the First. After a few years, after 12 years, we have Pulakeshi again attacking the Pallavan kingdom. This is number two, second attack of Pulakeshi. And who was the king of the Pallavas now? The great Narasimha Varman the First. Narasimha Varman the First. So he is considered to be the greatest of the Pallavas, Narasimha Varman the First. So Pulakeshi, after 12 years, attacked the Pallavan kingdom. Now, the Pallavas stood their ground under their king, Narasimha Varman the First, and they fought bravely. We have three battles which were fought. The Battle of Pariyala, Battle of Suramara, Pariyala, and Manimangala. Okay, Battle of Suramara, Pariyala, Manimangala. In these battles, Narasimhavarman the First was able to defeat Pulakeshi, and Narasimhavarma killed Pulakeshi. He was able to defeat and kill Pulakeshi II, right? And then you have the triumphant Pallavan army chasing the Chalukyan army. So the Chalukyas were retreating. Pulakeshi was killed in the battle. And then you have the Pallavas chasing the Chalukyas, and they chased them up to the capital Badami. right? And they occupied Badami. So the Pallavas occupied Badami, and Narasimhavarman took the title Vatapi Kondan, Vatapi Konda, the conqueror of Vatapi, Mahamalla, Mamalla, Mamalla, the great wrestler. Mamalla means the great wrestler. And he founded the city of Mahabalipuram, Mamallapuram, Mamallapuram, in English, Mahabalipuram. So if you go to Chennai, 50 kilometers from Chennai, we have this town called Mahabalipuram. This was founded by the great Narasimhavarman I, who killed Pulakeshi II. So Narasimhavarma, Pallavas occupied Badami or Vatapi, the capital of the Chalukyas. And also he took the title Vatapi Konda and Mamalla, the great wrestler. So the question is now, was this the end of the Chalukyas? Understand this, very interesting, this story. This is like a Telugu movie. There's a twist in the tale. So listen up. Now, was this the end of the Chalukyas? The answer is no. Pulakeshi was killed. No doubt he was killed by the Pallavas. And the Pallavas have occupied Badami. Pulakeshi had a minor son. He had a son. His name was Vikramaditya. Vikramaditya the first. Vikramaditya the first. So he was still a minor. He was still a young boy when his father was killed. So the ministers of Pulakeshi, they rescued this boy. They rescued Vikramaditya the first. Okay, and the ministers of Pulakeshi escaped from Badami, and the Pallavas occupied Badami. And the Pallavas occupied Badami for how many years? 12 years. They occupied Badami for 12 years. And secretly, in these 12 years, the Chalukyas built up an army. They built up an army. Okay, and Vikramaditya had now become a man. From a boy, he had become an adult in these 12 years. So after 12 years, we have the Chalukyas attacking Badami. They attack Badami and they chase away the Pallavas from Badami, and they reconquer Badami. So the Chalukyas reconquer Badami, right, after chasing away the Pallavas. And now Vikramaditya wanted revenge. So what does he do? He attacks the Pallavan kingdom. His father had been killed by Narasimhavarman I. Narasimhavarma had died, and Narasimhavarma had been succeeded by his son Mahendravarma. Mahendravarman was the king now. Mahendravarman II. Okay. Now Vikramaditya attacks the Pallavan kingdom and kills Mahendravarman II, right? And plunders Kanchi. He plunders the Pallavan kingdom. So this was like the mythical bird which arose from the ashes. What is it called? The mythical bird which arose from the ashes. I forget the name. Hello, all of you. Phoenix. Thank you, Phoenix Himani. So like a phoenix, the Chalukyas arose from the ashes under their great king Vikramaditya I. So he reconquers Badami after driving away the Pallavas, and then he attacks Kanchipuram, defeats the Pallavan king Mahendravarman II, and kills him. Now Vikramaditya did not stop there. He attacked Gujarat. Look here on your screen. Vikramaditya attacked southern Gujarat. Right? This is southern Gujarat for you. So major parts of South Gujarat was conquered by Vikramaditya I, and he appointed his younger brother Jayasimhavarman as the ruler of these conquered territories. Jayasimhavarman was appointed as the ruler of South Gujarat, southern Gujarat. So the successors of Jayasimhavarman ruled over South Gujarat for a number of years, and these are called, also the Chalukyas of Gujarat. They are called as the Chalukyas of Gujarat. They are called the Chalukyas of Gujarat. So the Chalukyas have left their imprint in three places. One is, of course, the Western Chalukyas. Originally, the Western Chalukyas who ruled from Vatapi or Badami. Then we saw this. Pulakeshi conquered eastern parts of Andhra Pradesh, the coastal regions of Andhra, and appointed his cousin Kubja Vishnuvardhana as the governor of those conquered territories. Later, Kubja Vishnuvardhana founded a separate dynasty in eastern part of Andhra, who have come to be called as the Chalukyas of Vengi or the eastern Chalukyas of Vengi. And then we have Jayasimhavarman, the brother of Vikramaditya I, who conquered southern Gujarat, and his descendants came to be called as the Chalukyas of Gujarat. Are you there with me? Western Chalukyas, Eastern Chalukyas of Vengi, Chalukyas of Gujarat. Please raise your hands. Are you clear? Okay. Now, so Vikramaditya the first. Then we have other kings. Um, Vinayaditya. Then Vijayaditya. Vijayaditya, he ruled for about 40 years, and his period is known for great temple building activities. Great temple building activities. Then we have the second greatest of the Chalukyas, Vikramaditya the second. Vikramaditya the second. Vikramaditya II. So he plundered Kanchi 3 times. He attacked and defeated the Pallavas 3 times. Okay, so he defeated Parameshavarman II, Nandivarman II, and the third attack was under his son. So 3 times he had plundered Kanchipuram, and when he attacked Kanchipuram, when he attacked the Pallavan kingdom, when Nandivarman II was ruling, what happened is Nandivarma offered his daughter in marriage to Vikramaditya II. This is the only example of restraint between these two kingdoms. So, what is the meaning of restraint? Whenever the Pallavas attacked and defeated the Chalukyas, they plundered the Chalukyan capital. They plundered the Chalukyan kingdom, looted, plundered. Now you have loot, plunder, rapine. Similarly, when the Pallavas attacked the Chalukyan kingdom, they did the same thing to the Chalukyas. Here, only in one case there was restraint, tolerance between these two kingdoms. When Vikramaditya II defeated Nandivarman II, Nandivarman II, no, he did not plunder the wealth. Vikramaditya, he inspected the wealth of the Pallavas and he donated the wealth back to the Kailashanatha temple at Kanchipuram. So at Kanchipuram, we have a temple called Kailashanatha temple. So that all the wealth of the Pallavas was given back by Vikramaditya II to that temple. And he married the daughter of Nandivarman II. This is the only instance of restraint between these two kingdoms, right? The last ruler was, of course, during the time of Vikramaditya II, we had the Arabs attacking and conquering Sindh in 712 AD. Arabs conquered Sindh, and they tried to penetrate into South Gujarat. So, they tried to penetrate into South Gujarat. So we have the governor of South Gujarat of the Chalukyas. His name was Avani Janashraya Pulakeshi. Avani Janashraya Pulakeshi. He defeated the Arabs. Okay, when the Arabs tried to expand beyond Sindh into South Gujarat. The last ruler was, of course, Kirtivarman II. And Kirtivarman II was killed by his feudatory Danti Durga, who founded the Rashtrakuta dynasty. This is about the Chalukyas of Badami. On your screen, you can see here. So these are the kings, as I've told you. Jayasimha the first was the founder. Pulakeshi the first important king, first independent king. He proclaimed himself independent from the Kadambas of Banavasi, and he performed an Ashwamedha sacrifice. Kirtivarma the first. So he had Pulakeshi had 2 sons, Kirtivarma and Mangalesha. So Kirtivarma further expanded the kingdom, but then since he was dying, he gave away the throne to his brother Mangalesha, with the promise that Mangalesha would take care of his son Pulakeshi II. So Pulakeshi is the greatest of the dynasty. We have seen this. He killed his uncle Mangalesha and came to power. So he defeated Harshavardhana. He conquered eastern coast of Andhra Pradesh and appointed his brother Kubja Vishnuvardhana as the governor of those conquered territories. Then he defeated Harsha, and also he was the one who was responsible for starting the dynastic wars with the Pallavas. He defeated and killed Mahendravarman I, but in turn he was killed by Narasimhavarman I of the Pallavas. Vikramaditya I, he resurrected the Chalukyan glory, resurrected the Chalukyan empire. He plundered Kanchipuram, killed Mahendravarman II, the son of Narasimhavarman I. And Vikramaditya is the person who conquered southern Gujarat and appointed his brother Jayasimhavarman as the governor of southern Gujarat. And Jayasimhavarman's descendants ruled southern Gujarat for a long time. They are also called the Chalukyas of Gujarat. Vinayaditya ruled briefly, but the longest period was Vijayaditya. He ruled for about 40 years. And during his period, we have a number of temples being built. The second greatest of the Chalukyas was Vikramaditya II. Second greatest was him, Vikramaditya II. Right? He thrice plundered Kanchi. I told you he thrice plundered Kanchi, and he defeated 3 Pallavan kings: Parameshavarman II, Nandivarman II, or Pottavarman. Right? And then, of course, we have the Arabs conquering Sindh during his period, And the governor of Navasarika, southern Gujarat, was Avani Janashraya Pulakeshi, who defeated the Arabs who tried to expand beyond Sindh. When they tried to penetrate into South Gujarat, they were defeated by Avani Janashraya Pulakeshi. The last king was Kirtivarman II, and Danti Durga, his feudatory, killed him and established the Rashtrakuta dynasty. The Rashtrakuta dynasty. This is the about the Chalukyas. Are you there with me? All of you, are you there with me? I hope it is interesting. This is the Chalukyas of Badami for you, right? The Chalukyas are known for the Vesara style. Understand this Vesara style of architecture. They were the ones who were responsible for the Vesara style of architecture, temple architecture, Vesara style. Yeah, Arabs conquered Sindh. Arabs. When I come to medieval India tomorrow, I'll talk about it, Zeba. So just hold on. So when the Arabs tried to expand beyond Sindh, we have the Chalukyas defeating the Arabs, right? So Vesara style of architecture was begun by the Chalukyas of Badami. So this is a combination of North Indian Nagara and South Indian Dravida. So when we have features of both these styles of architecture, it is called Vesara style or Mule style. So we'll be discussing this when we do art and architecture, Vesara style of architecture. So this is about the Chalukyas of Badami. I've discussed this. You can see here Pulakeshi II, great titles, Dakshina Pateshwara, Parameshwara, Prithvi Vallabha, Satyashraya, Vallabhendra. So the Aihole inscription of Ravi Kirti is the main source of information for the study of Pulakeshi. Of course, we have Hyun Sang. So Hyun Sang visited the court of Pulakeshi II, and Pulakeshi was the greatest of the dynasty. So I have discussed it in detail. He conquered Elephant Islands. So we have Elephanta is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. He conquered the Vishnu Kundins and the Ranadurjayas. So this is the Aihole inscription on your screen, written by Ravi Kirti, the court poet of Pulakeshi II. And this is Gharapuri or Elephanta off the coast of Bombay, 1 hour by ferry. In the monsoon season, it is closed. So you cannot travel, ferry service is closed in the monsoon season because the sea is rough. And in 1 hour, you can reach Gharapuri in Marathi language, it is as it is called locally, Elephanta. And inside, there are 6 caves here. There are 6 caves here at Elephanta. All are dedicated to Lord Shiva. And in one of the caves, we have this 25 feet statue of Shiva. In three-faced Shiva is there. This is called Mahesha Murti Cave at Elephanta. It is 25 feet in height. This three-faced Shiva, right? So he conquered this area, eastern coast of Andhra, and appointed his cousin Kubja Vishnuvardhana as the governor. And later he founded the Chalukyas of Vengi dynasty, Kubja Vishnuvardhana. Then I told you we have Pulakeshi defeating Harshavardhana in the Battle of Narmada. So what is the reason as to why Harsha fought against Pulakeshi? The main reason was these two reasons. One is conquest of Vallabhi by Harsha. Vallabhi in Gujarat was conquered by Harsha. So that area was also claimed by the Chalukyas. Southern Gujarat was also claimed by the Chalukyas. And then we have the question of overlordship over the Latas, Malwas, Gurjaras. Lata is southern Gujarat, Malwa, parts of Madhya Pradesh, and Gurjaras. So Harsha claimed those areas for himself. Chalukyas also claimed those areas for themselves. So these two reasons led to conflict between these two powerful rulers, and Pulakeshi defeated Harshavardhana, right, in the Battle of Narmada. So Pulakeshi, he took the title Dakshina Parameshwara or Dakshina Teshwara, right, the Lord of South India. Then we don't know he was responsible, Pulakeshi was responsible for the dynastic wars with the Pallavas. He twice invaded the Pallavan kingdom. In the first expedition, he killed Mahendravarman I in the Battle of Pulalur. And in the second expedition, Narasimhavarma killed Pulakeshi. He defeated Pulakeshi in the battles of Pariyala, Manimangala, and Suramara. And Pulakeshi died in the battlefield. Pulakeshi, so you have the Pallavas conquering Vatapi, and Narasimhavarma took the title Vatapi Konda and Mamalla and found the city of Mamallapuram. So one more thing is Pulakeshi sent an ambassador to Persia. Persia is Iran. So Iran during those you have the king of Iran by name Khusru II. So Pulakeshi sent an ambassador to the king of Persia, Khusru II, and Khusru II in turn returned an ambassador to the court of Pulakeshi. So Khusru II sends an ambassador to the court of Pulakeshi, and Pulakeshi is seen receiving that ambassador. We have a painting in Ajanta, cave number 1. So at Ajanta, there are 29 caves. In the cave number 1, in the first cave at Ajanta, we have a painting where we see Pulakeshi receiving the Persian ambassador sent by Khusru II, the king of Persia. So you can see here, this is a sketch, this is a pencil sketch made later, but the painting has got smudged in Ajanta. The original painting has got smudged. It is a recreation of a painting of that same painting, this one, or whatever sketch you see on your screen. So this is Pulakeshi sitting on the throne and receiving the Persian ambassador sent by Khusru II. And Khusru II sent this ambassador in 625 AD. Song also visited the Chalukyan kingdom. So Vikramaditya the first, we have discussed this. He resurrected the Chalukyan rule. He drove away the Pallavas who were occupying Badami for 12 years. Then he defeated and killed Mahendravarman II. Then he conquered parts of Gujarat and appointed Jayasivavarman as the governor of that area. He also defeated Parmeshwaravarman the first of the Pallavas in the battle of Peruvalannalluru, right? And also defeated Narasimhavarman II. Then Vinayaditya, he's supposed to have defeated the ruler of Kanauj, who had the title of Sakala Uttara Patanata. Vijayaditya, he ruled for longest period of time, 40 years. And we have these idols of Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh installed in the Badami cave by his queen Vinayavati. So we have great activity in temple building during his period. The second greatest of the Chalukyas was Vikramaditya II. I've already discussed this. So he thrice plundered, he thrice attacked the Pallavan kingdom. We have the Pattadakal pillar inscription which talks about this. So he tried invaded Kanchi. He defeated Parameshwaravarman II and Nandivarman II or Kotavarman. And he did not plunder the wealth. He gave away the wealth back to the Kailashanatha temple at Kanchipuram. And Nandivarman gave his daughter in marriage to Narasimhavarman II. So Chalukyan feudatory of Navasarika called Avanija Shrai Pulakeshi defeated the Arabs who tried to penetrate into South Gujarat. The last of the Pallavas was Kirtivarman II, and he was killed by Danti Durga, who founded the Rashtrakuta dynasty. Ellora has capital. The Chalukyas were responsible for the Vesarasura of temple building. And the temples are found at 3 places: Aihole, Badami, Pattadakal. So when I do art and architecture, we'll be discussing about Vesara style of temple building also. Are you there with me? All of you clear? Now, this is Aihole for you. This is called Durga temple at Aihole. Okay, Pattadakal, about 10 kilometers, about 15-20 kilometers from Badami is Pattadakal. So there also we have temples built by the Chalukyas of Badami. So there are other aspects. You know, it was a centralized administration, the Chalukyan rule. You have a council of ministers assisting the king, right? And Chalukyan army was called Karnata Bala. And Pulakeshi also had a navy. He had a navy. So we have a lot of irrigation facilities provided by the Chalukyan kings. We have in the Shigan copper plates, about 14 tanks were constructed by the Chalukyan kings in the Haveri district of Karnataka. We have various taxes collected by the king. The main source of income was land revenue. So land revenue was called Siddhaya. Then we have other taxes like Harjanka, tax on shares, Birnode, tax on trade, Pannaya, tax on betel leaf. Weaving was an important occupation. Cotton cultivation was popular. So all these details are there here. We have Shrenis, trade guilds operating in the Chalukyan kingdom. Shrenis like Aihole 500, Kalkutiga, Uppara. So what is a Shreni? Association of merchants generally dealing with the same commodity. So Shreni is nothing but a trade guild or an association of merchants dealing with the same commodity. So you have Chalukyas who are Brahminical Hindus, but also patronize other religions like Shaivism, Vaishnavism, and Jainism. Right? So all these details are here. Please go through it. This is about the Chalukya rule. Then we come to the Pallavas of Kanchipuram. Any details, questions, your doubts, you can ask me. What is full form of CNC? Commander-in-Chief. Chenuru, CNC is Commander-in-Chief. So let us talk about the Pallavas of Kanchipuram. Okay, Pallavas of Kanchipuram. All clear, all of you? Chalukyas of Badami. So we have now look here, very simple. When we tell the story Ulta, it becomes the Pallavan history. For example, Pulakesh II defeated and killed Mahendravarman I, right? If I tell it in a ulta manner, Mahendra Varman the first was killed by Pulakeshi the second. That becomes the history of the Pallavas. So it is as simple as that. But then I'll again deal with it. There are many more things about the Pallavas. So the Pallavas ruled from the 6th century to the 9th century AD. These are the imperial Pallavas. Okay, so we know this. You see here on your screen, these are the Pallavas. Pallavas ruled from Kanchipuram. Kanchi was their capital. Kanchipuram, famous for silk, Kanchi sarees. So Kanchipuram was the capital near Chennai. And the Pallavas and the Chalukyas fought over the Krishna Tungabhadra Doab. Now, when we look at the Pallavan history, who are these Pallavas? They were supposed to be a local tribe who ruled over Tondai Nadu, the land of creepers. So they established their rule over Tondai Nadu, the land of creepers. They were a local tribe. And we have Ashokan inscriptions mentioning the Pallavas as Pulindas. So Pallavas are supposed to be identical with the Pulindas. So they were under the Shatavahanas. They were feudatories of the Shatavahanas. And once the Shatavahana rule ended, they declared themselves independent. So we have three lines of Pallavan kings. We have the early Pallavas. You can see here on your screen, the early Pallavas ruled from 250 to 350 AD. And who was their important kings? Who were their important kings? Shivaskandavarman, Vijayaskandavarman. And Prakrit was their language. The charter language was Prakrit. Then we have the second line of Pallavan kings who ruled from 350 to 550 AD. The greatest was Vishnugopa, who was defeated by Samudragupta. You remember Samudragupta came to South India and he defeated all the 12 kings of South India. During that time, the Pallavan king was Vishnugopa. Then we have the imperial Pallavas, 575, roughly 6th century AD to the 9th century AD. So these are the imperial Pallavas. We are talking about them now, the Pallavas of Kanchi or the imperial Pallavas. Their kings were Simha Vishnu, who destroyed the Kalabras. Okay, that is, we have the Sangam Tamil kingdoms, Cholas, Cheras, Pandyas. And these Cholas, Cheras, Pandyas of the Sangam age were supplanted by a group of evil rulers called Kalapillars or Kalabras. And you have the Kalabras ruling over the deep south for about 4.5 centuries. And we are told that the combination of the Pallavas, the Chalukyas, and the Pandyas joined together and ended the rule of the Kalabras. So Simha Vishnu defeated the Kalabras, and we have other kings like Mahendra Varman the first and Narsimha Varman the first. Right. So these are the important kings: Simha Vishnu, Mahendra Varman the first, Narsimha Varman the first, etc. We'll talk about it. Simha Vishnu was their founder of the Imperial Pallavas, Simha Vishnu. He was a Vishnu worshipper. Then we have the second king, Mahendra Varman the first, known by different titles: Gunabhara, Matta Vilasa, Vichitra Chitta, Chitrakara Puli, Chettakari. So these are the various titles of Mahendra Varman the first. Gunabhara, Matta Vilasa, Vichitra Chitta, Chitrakara Puli, adapted painting. Chitrakara Puli means adapted painting. Chettakari, builder of temples. And he wrote a humorous drama in Sanskrit called Matta Vilasa Prahasana. Matta Vilasa Prahasana. In English, a farce of drunken sport. So this was written in Sanskrit language. This is the story of a Kapalika. So there was a Kapalika, I believe, one of the extreme Shaiva sects, Kapalika. So he had a human skull bowl. So he had a begging bowl, which was basically a human skull. Okay, so this Kapalika, he was sleeping under a tree, and a dog is supposed to have taken away the skull. Okay, and then when he gets up, he sees that skull missing, and he blames a Buddhist monk. Buddhist monk was sitting somewhere nearby. So this Kapalika starts blaming that Buddhist monk for having stolen his begging bowl, which was basically a human skull. So this is the theme of this story, Matta Vilasa Prahasana, written in Sanskrit language by Mahendra Varman the first. And you know this, Mahendra Varman was killed by Pulakeshi II in the Battle of Pulaluru. So Mahendra Varma was basically a Jaina. Initially, he was following Jainism. So this is the statue of Mahendra Varman the first in one of the temples there in Kanchipuram. Now, Mahendra Varma was a Jain initially. Later, he was converted to Shaivism into worshipping Shiva by Tirunavukkarasu. So there was a saint called Tirunavukkarasu. So this Tirunavukkarasu converted Mahendra Varman into Shaivism, into a Shiva worshipper. Mahendra Varma was killed in the Battle of Pulalur. Then we have Narsimha Varman the first. Narsimha Varman the first is considered to be the greatest of the Pallavas. And Narsimha Varma, I told you, repelled the attack of Pulakeshi He defeated Pulakeshi in three battles, in the battle of Manimangala, Pariyala, and Suramara, and killed him and took the title of Mata Pikonda and Mamalla, and founded the city of Mamallapuram or Mahabalipuram. So you can see on your screen, this is the city of Mahabalipuram. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. We'll discuss about Mahabalipuram when we do art and architecture, the Pallavan architecture. We'll talk about it. So a beautiful place to go for a holiday, a short holiday. It is on the Bay of Bengal, and you have a number of hotels and resorts there. For a holiday after prelims, you can plan up after prelims, right? So we have the city of Mamallapuram. So it was constructed by or founded by Narasimhavarman I, who took the title of Mahamalla or the Great Wrestler after killing Pulakeshi the second. Mahamalla means great wrestler. Great wrestler. Then he considered seven rathas there. You have monolithic temples at Mahabalipuram. You can see here, these are the seven rathas. They are called popularly as seven pagodas. They are named after the Pandava family: Draupadi, Dharmaraya or Dharmaraja, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula Sahadeva, Pidari, Valayan Kuttai, and Ganapati. So these are the seven pagodas or eight pagodas, but popularly called seven pagodas. These are monolithic temples carved from top to down. From top to bottom, they have been carved. We'll discuss about them when I do art and architecture. So in detail. So these are the seven rathas, or popularly called seven pagodas. Hyun Song visited Kanchipuram during his period, and we have Narasimhavarman I helping a Ceylonese prince, a prince of Sri Lanka, to come to power there in Sri Lanka. His name was Manavarman. So we have the Ceylonese chronicle called Mahavamsha. It tells us that Narasimhavarman I helped Manavarman to come to power in Sri Lanka. So he sent two naval expeditions to support that king of Prince of Sri Lanka to come to power. Then we have Mahendravarman II, who was killed by Vikramaditya I, the son of Pulakeshi II. He reconquers Badami, drives away with the Pallavas, and Vikramaditya I killed Mahendravarman II. Right? So then we have Narasimhavarman II. Narasimhavarman II had these titles: Rajasimha, Agamapriya, Shankara Bhakta. These are the various titles of Narasimhavarman II. So we have the Dravida style of temple building, which began under him. Dravida style of temple, structural temples. Dravida style of structural temples were built from the time of Narasimhavarman II. So we have one more thing I forgot to mention. We have the shore temple. Yeah, the Dravida style of temple building. So you can see on your screen, this is the shore temple at Mahamallapuram. This is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The first structural temple built according to the Dravida style is this, the shore temple at Mahabalipuram. I have mentioned it here. Oldest surviving freestanding structural temples. Please understand, early temples were found inside caves. They are called cave temples. When we talk about Pallavan architecture, we will discuss it. Initially, we find mandapas. Mandapas are nothing but cave temples. Mandapas. This was constructed by the early Pallavas. Then we have rathas, the monolithic rathas. These are the monolithic rathas. You see, these are monolithic temples. They are called rathas on your screen. Okay, so initially we have cave temples called mandapas, which were constructed by the Pallavas. Then we have a transition to monolithic temples called rathas. And the first freestanding structural temple is this, the shore temple at Mahamallapuram, built by Narasimhavarman II, Rajasimha. So Rajasimha was one of the titles of Narasimhavarman II. Are you there with me? He also established Vedic schools attached to temples called Gatikas. So Vedic schools attached to temples called Gatikas. So Gatikas were Vedic schools which were attached to temples. He constructed them with Narasimhavarman II. Then he patronized Dandin, who wrote Dasakumara Charita. This is again on Kartike, Dasakumara Charita, and Avanti Sundari Katasara. Avanti Sundari Katasara. These are the two works of Dandin. So Narasimhavarman II constructed two temples. One is a shore temple at Mahamallapuram or Mahabalipuram, and the second is the Kailashanatha temple at Kanchipuram, also called Rajasimheshwara temple. This is the Kailashanatha temple at Kanchipuram on your screen. This was constructed by Narasimhavarman II for his personal worship. This was not a temple for the public during those days. This was the royal chapel. What is royal chapel? Meant for the royal family. So chapel, so royal chapel or chapel royal as it is called, it was meant for the worship of the only the king. Only the king will go and worship there, no, not the public. So this is a temple dedicated to Shiva Gangadhara, Shiva, the bearer of the Lord of the river Ganga. So he called it as Shiva Gangadhara. So here, this is the Kailashanatha temple at Kanchipuram, built by Narasimhavarma II. Then we have Nandivarma II. So he had so he was also a Vishnu worshipper along with Simha Vishnu. Nandivarma II was also a Vishnu worshipper, and we have seen this. He was defeated by Vikramaditya II, and he gave his daughter in marriage to Vikramaditya II. The only instance of restraint between these two dynasties. So he got his daughter married to Vikramaditya II of the Chalukyas. He defeated Western Ganga king Sri Purusha. So we have the Gangas of Talakadu. So Talakadu is a place in Karnataka, Mysore district of Karnataka. So we have the Western Gangas of Talakadu. Eastern Gangas ruled over Orissa. So you have Eastern Gangas who ruled over Orissa. Western Gangas ruled from Talakadu. Okay, Kolar district, Talakadu. So you have the king of Western Gangas called Sri Purusha. So he defeated him and took away his diamond Ugrodaya. So Nandivarma II. So Nandivarma II gave his daughter in marriage to Vikramaditya II, and Nandivarma II built another temple. This is the Vaikunta Perumal temple at Kanchipuram. You can see this is the Vaikunta Perumal temple at Kanchipuram, built by Nandivarma II. Right, and he patronized Bharavi. He wrote Kirata Arjuniam. He wrote a story called Kirata Arjunia. I'll tell the story. I'll end this today's class with the story called Kirata Arjuniam by Bharavi. But let me continue. I'll come back to the story later. Right. So we have Vaikunta Perumal temple built by Nandivarma II. And the last king was Aparajita Pallava. The last king of the Pallavas was Aparajita Pallava. His feudatory by name Aditya Chola. Aditya Chola overthrew Aparajita Pallava and founded the Chola kingdom. So we have the Chola succeeding the Pallavas. Now, we'll come to that. What is important about the Pallava rule? So their official language was Sanskrit. So though they were Tamil speakers, their official language was Sanskrit. And we have the sacred Tamil literature flourishing under the Pallavas. We have 63 Shaiva saints. 63 Shaiva saints. They are called Nayanmars. And they composed devotional literature in Tamil language. So they composed a number of poems in praise of Shiva. These 63 Shaiva saints, they are called Nayanars, and that is called Devaram or Dravida Veda. Devaram or Dravida Veda. That is the literature composed by these 63 Shaiva saints. So if you go to Shiva temples, old Shiva temples, we see many statues of sages. Almost 63 statues are there of sages. These are the Nayanars. So they composed devotional literature in praise of Shiva called Tevaram or Dravida Veda. If you go to the Shiva temples of Tamil Nadu, even now, shlokas or hymns from the Tevaram are recited in Shiva temples. So the Nayanars functioned during the Pallava period. We have Alvars, 12 Vaishnava saints. They also composed devotional literature in Tamil language in praise of Vishnu. And that literature is called Prabandha. Nalayira Divya Prabandham, as it is called in Tamil. Nalayira Divya Prabandham. So we have 12 Vaishnava saints who operated during the Pallava period. So Bhakti as a concept arises from here. Bhakti movement arises from here in the Pallava period. In the 6th century AD, we have the Bhakti movement arising or rising up in Tamil Nadu. So these Bhakti saints criticize the rituals and the sacrifices, the domination of the Brahmanas, and the various superstitions which were followed, and they focus on Bhakti, unadulterated devotion to a chosen deity. So Bhakti as a movement began in the 6th century AD during the Pallava period. It entered North India by the 11th century AD, and by the 14th and 15th century, it became a raging movement. So we study about Bhakti movement, the Sufi movement in medieval Indian history. So we'll talk about it when I do art and culture. Please remember this. Bhakti has a concept. Bhakti as a movement began in the Tamil country during the Pallava period. Okay. So we have Perundevanar who wrote Tamil Mahabharata in Tamil. Original Mahabharata was written by Vedavyas in Sanskrit language. Perundevanar wrote a Tamil Mahabharata. So Nayanars, Alvars contributed towards the enrichment of Tamil literature. We have the Pallavas developing the Dravida style of temple building. So Pallavas began to construct temples in South India in the Dravida style, and they were the ones who laid the foundation of Dravida style. It was improved upon by the Cholas. All the features of a Dravida temple are seen in Chola temples. We'll talk about it when you do architecture, right? So early Pallavan temples are cave temples. We find they're called mandapas, okay, and then they began to build rathas, monolithic temples, right? And of course, we have the best example of Pallavan sculpture is Arjuna's penance or the descent of Ganga. This is the largest bas relief in the world. You can see on your screen, this is the Arjuna's penance or descent of the Ganga at Mahabalipuram. If you go to Mahabalipuram, you can see this huge sculpture. This is the largest bas relief in the world. What is bas relief? Largest bas relief in the world. Okay, in the world. So bas relief is you take a coin, a 5 rupee coin, 2 rupee coin, 1 rupee coin. You have the digit 1 or 2 or 5 slightly jutting out from the background. That's called bas relief. You can see here these sculptures are slightly jutting out from the background. Look at the elephant slightly jutting out. So this is Arjuna. What is this sculpture about? This is Arjuna doing penance. You can see here Arjuna is doing penance. Some say it's Bhagirath's penance. And Shiva has appeared in front of Arjuna. Yes, he is giving him darshan. You have river Ganga coming down into the earth, river Ganga, and these are the elephants. You can see they look so real. They have come to drink water to the river front, and you have the calves here. Elephant calves are also there, hiding between the legs of their mothers. So you have animals, birds, which have congregated around the rivers. You can see these birds here. You have monkey. So there's a monkey here. There's a monkey. There's a cat here. There's a cat which is imitating Arjuna. So the cat is standing on one leg and praying to Arjuna. It's imitating Arjuna, and looking at the cat, a mouse has come nearby. So there's a mouse here. You can see here a mouse has come nearby, and so here the sculptor is trying to say, don't be carried away by appearances. Appearances can be deceptive. This is the statue of Vishnu. So the Pallavas claim descent from Vishnu, and we have some of the Pallavan kings whose heads are missing here. You see here, this is Mahendravarman the first. His head is missing. Then Narasimhavarman the first. His head is also missing. Narasimhavarman the second. His head is missing. So who cut off their heads? Vikramaditya the first. The Chalukyan king Vikramaditya took revenge against the Pallavas. So he cut off the heads of these Pallavan kings in the statues. So this is the largest bas relief in the world. And let us look at the questions which have appeared from this topic. I'll come to the story in the end. So here of Kirata Arjunia, if you are interested. Hyunsang, a Buddhist pilgrim from China, visited the kingdoms of which of the following rulers? So he visited the kingdom of Harshavardhana, Narasimhavarman the first, and Pulakeshin the second. So 1, 2, and 4 is the answer. So Hyunsang visited Harsha's kingdom, including Pallavan and Chalukyan kingdom of Pulakeshi and Narasimhavarman the first. Then which of the following pairs is correctly matched? Vatapi Konda. Vatapi Konda is the title of Narasimhavarman the first. So this is not correct. Right? Then Rajasimha, Narasimhavarman the second, that is correct. Mahabali, that is who founded Mahabalipuram, that is Narasimhavarman the first. So that is not Nandivarman the second. Chittakarapuli, that is Mahendravarman the first. So the only answer is this. B is the answer. So remember the titles of these kings. Who of the following kings is eulogized in the Aihole inscription as Sakala Uttara Padishwara, the Lord of North India? So in the Aihole inscription of Ravi Kirti, we have Harsha called Sakala Uttara Padishwara. So the answer is Harshavardhana. Who of the following is eulogized in the Aihole inscription as Sakala Uttara Padishwara? Harshavardhana. So Ravi Kirti says, my master Pulakeshi the second defeated the Sakala Uttara Padishwara Harshavardhana. So Harsha is called Sakala Uttara Padishwara, Lord of North India. Who among the following Pallavan kings embraced Vaishnavism? So we only have two kings of the Pallavas who were Vishnu worshippers. One was Simha Vishnu, the founder, and Nandivarman the second. Okay, so 3 and 4 is the answer. Then which of the following Badami kings repulsed the attack of the Arabs of Sindh on South Gujarat? It was Vikramaditya II. So the governor of South Gujarat, Avani Janashraya Pulakeshi, repelled the attack of the Arabs over South Gujarat. So this happened in the time of Vikramaditya II. Then arrange the following Chinese visitors to India in the correct chronological sequence. The first to come to India was Fahian, you know that. Second was Hyunsang, you know that. Third was Wang Yutze, and the fourth was Itzing. So the answer is 3, 2, 1, and 4. 3, 2, 1, and 4 is the answer. B is the answer. Which one of the following inscriptions refers to the invasion of the Huns during the reign of Skandagupta? Bidhari. So this should have been under the Gupta topic, but anyway, I have put it here. Bidhari is the inscription which talks about the victory scored by Skandagupta against the Hunas. Emperor Harsha's southward march was stopped on the Narmada River by whom? 2003 question. It was Pulakeshin II. So Pulakeshin defeated Harsha. The Chinese traveler Huan Xuang, who visited India, recorded the general conditions and culture of India at that time. In this context, which of the following statements are correct? The road, 2013 question, this is, the roads and river routes were completely immune from robbery. No. Huan Xuang himself was robbed twice. So therefore, the roads and rivers were not completely immune from robbery. When we have this topic called travelers to India. So when we do art and culture, we will discuss about it. So as regards punishment for offences, ordeals by fire, water, poison were the instruments for determining the innocence or guilt of a person. This is correct. This is what is the information given by Huan Xuang. So then the tradesmen had to pay duties at ferries and barrier stations. This is also correct. Select the correct answer. This is 2 and 3. 2 and 3 is the correct answer. The first statement is wrong. From the decline of Guptas until the rise of Harshavardhana in the early 7th century, which of the following kingdoms were holding power in northern India? 2021 question UPSC. The Guptas of Magadha. So they ruled from the later Guptas, ruled from Patliputra over Magadha. The Pushyaputis of Taneshwar, the Maukaris of Kanauj, the Maitrakas of Vallabhi. So the answer is 1, 3, 4, and 6. 1, 3, 4, and 6 is the answer. The Paramaras of Malwa and Yadavas of Devagiri come later. So we have discussed the successors of the Guptas, and UPSC asked the same question in 2021. So this is the 5th visitor to India, Chinese visitor, the president of China, who met Modi at Mahabalipuram. So Fahian, Hyun Sang, Wang Yutse, It-Sing, and he is the 5th visitor. Okay, what's his name? Jinping or somebody, right? President of China, right? So Kapalika, coming that Kapalikas. Yeah, it is supposed to be the symbolic representation of the human, of the male sexual organ, Sham. Kapalikas, Kalamukas, yeah, Kapalikas. Kapalikas. So Kapalikas, I told you, Kapalikas, Kalamukas, Goraknathis, Kanpata yogis, they were extreme Shaiva sects, right? Zeba, they were extreme Shaiva sects. They used to mimic Shiva, stating that Shiva does all these things. He spares ashes on their body. He does meditation, etc. So they will also do that, right? Jinping, okay, Rouhani, right? Jinping. Now, are you interested in the story? The what is that called? The Bharavis Kirata Arjunia. Bharavis Kirata Arjunia. Mahavamsha is a book of Sri Lanka. Mahavamsha written by Mahanama. So Mahavamsha tells us that Narasimhavarman the first helped a king of Sri Lanka, prince of Sri Lanka, to come to power. So it's a book of Sri Lanka, Zeba. Are you there with me? Bharavis Kirata Arjunia. So I'll end this ancient India with this story called Bharavis Kirata Arjunia. Are you interested, or shall we wind up? Hello, all of you? Okay, so, okay, now look, here the story here. Kirata Arjunia. So this is a story written by Bharavi. So the story goes like this. I believe this was before the Mahabharata war. This was before the Mahabharata war. One day, Shiva and Parvati were sitting in their headquarters, which is their headquarters, Kailas, Mount Kailas, that is their headquarters, Kailasa, Kailas Parvat. So Shiva and Parvati, husband and wife, are sitting in Kailas and they're having a pleasant chit chat. So Shiva is going on a monologue. He's praising Arjuna. He's telling Parvati what a great devotee he is. He's such a true devotee of mine. And he's also a great archer. He has never been defeated by anybody. He's the best archer in the world. Nobody has seen his back. In other words, Arjuna has never been defeated by anybody. So when you're defeated, you run away, isn't it? And you show your back and run away. So Shiva is telling Parvati that nobody has seen the back of Arjuna. That is, he has not been defeated by anybody, and is a true devotee of mine. So Parvati is quietly listening to Shiva, and Parvati is supposed to have made a strange request to Shiva. So Parvati is supposed to have told Shiva, I want to see Arjuna's back. I want to see the back of Arjuna. So Shiva tries to dissuade her, discourage her, but Parvati is very adamant. She says, I want to see his back. Whatever it is, you fulfill my wish. And now wife is demanding, otherwise she will not give him breakfast, lunch, dinner. So Shiva decides to fulfill the wish of Parvati. So what does Shiva do? He comes on to this earth. He comes to this earth in the guise of a hunter. Kirata. Kirata means hunter. Okay, so he takes the form of a hunter. Okay, and he comes down to this earth. And Arjuna has gone hunting in the forest. So he's gone hunting in the forest. And Arjuna was a great archer. You all know that, right? He is supposed to be a great archer. And he had many skills in archery. One of the skills was Shabdavedi Ban. What is Shabdavedi Ban? That is, let's say there's a forest. So Arjuna has gone hunting, and from one direction in the forest, he hears a sound. He's able to hear the sound. He's not able to see who is making that sound or which animal is making that sound. So he's able to hear the sound, and then he will take aim. Just on the basis of that sound, he will take aim and he will shoot his arrow. He will discharge his arrow. And that arrow will go and hit the bullseye. It will go and hit the target. So he had this skill ability. That's called Shabdavedi Ban. So Arjuna was going hunting in the forest and he hears a sound. He hears a sound, and he, presuming it to be an animal, he takes aim and he discharges the arrow. The arrow goes and hits the animal, and he hears a sound, some animal screaming loudly in pain. So he runs in that direction. And when he comes to that spot, he notices a boar. A wild boar has died, and his arrow has struck the wild boar. But to the surprise of Arjuna, not one arrow has struck the wild boar. There are two arrows. He only discharged one arrow, but two arrows have struck the wild boar. Just then the Kirata comes. The Kirata, that is Shiva in the form of a hunter. And then Arjuna tells the Kirata, Kirata also has his bow and arrow with him. So Arjuna tells the hunter, he doesn't know it is actually Shiva, but Arjuna tells the hunter that my arrow killed the boar. So therefore that boar belongs to me. So the hunter says, how do you say this? How do you say that your arrow killed the boar? My arrow also has struck the boar. Therefore, my arrow has killed the boar. So they have an argument. And then Arjuna is supposed to have told the Kirata, don't you know who I am? I am Arjuna. Nobody is a better archer than me on this earth. Therefore, my arrow was the one which struck the boar and killed the boar first. So Shiva understands that Arjuna has got a lot of ego. He's very proud about his archery skills, and he has become egoistic about it. So he wants to break Arjuna's ego. So the hunter Shiva is supposed to have told Arjuna, I don't care. I have not heard about your name, and I don't care who you are. As far as I am concerned, my arrow also has struck the boar and it has killed the boar. So then Arjuna suggests, let us solve this problem. Let us have a fight. Let us have a one-to-one fight. Okay, and whoever wins this fight, the Kirata suggests this. Kirata tells, let us have a fight. And then whoever wins this fight will claim that boar has the prize. So Arjuna laughs at the Kirata. This ordinary hunter is challenging Arjuna. Arjuna has defeated so many people, and this fellow is challenging me. So Arjuna laughs, and then he accepts the challenge anyway. So he is very overconfident that because he has defeated so many great people, hunter was not a big deal for Arjuna. That's what Arjuna thinks. And the fight begins. In the first round, like in Indian movies, you have Arjuna winning the battle. So he's fighting against the Kirata, and Kirata is getting beaten by the hunter, right? Arjuna is beating the hunter, and hunter has fallen on the ground. So hunter has fallen on the ground, and Arjuna is on top of him, and he is nicely bashing the hunter. So that is the time when Shiva waves to Parvati. So imagine this: hunter is on his back, Arjuna is on top of him, sitting on him and thrashing him, and Shiva waves to Parvati. Look, look! Now you see his back. You can see his back, right? Now Parvati waves back. Okay, done. I can see his back. That's the time when the tables are turned. So Shiva gets up and nicely thrashes Arjuna, and he starts giving him punches. And Arjuna is shocked and surprised. He has fought many great people, many powerful adversaries, but never had anybody given him punches like that, like Tyson's punch, right? And he's surprised and he is grievously wounded. And then he folds his hands and he realizes this person is not an ordinary man. He is somebody special. And he folds his hand before the Kirata and tells him, requests him, you are not an ordinary man. You are somebody special. Please show your true form. And Shiva also had given him enough. So Shiva appears with Parvati and gives darshan to Arjuna. And Arjuna falls at the feet of Shiva and Parvati and asks Shiva, what is all this? Why all this drama? And Shiva tells him, my wife Paru wanted to see your back. And that's why I had to, enact this drama. So then Arjuna is supposed to have replied to him, if you had requested me, I would have shown my back myself. Why should you have beaten me like a street dog and then ask me to show your back to me? So anyway, Shiva laughs and then with his magic touch, he touches Arjuna and all the pain goes away. And as a reward, he hands over the Pashupata Astra, a weapon called Pashupata Astra, which Arjuna uses later in the Mahabharata war. This is a story written by Bharavi, Kirata Arjuniyam, right? This is a story. I end my class of ancient India with this. I have finished the syllabus. We'll start with medieval India tomorrow. My request to you is go through the PPTs, go through the lecture, audio recorded lectures of my class, and then read one textbook, R.S. Sharma, preferably. Read that, and that should complete your preparation for ancient Indian history. Okay? So you have a good day. We'll meet tomorrow at the same time. Okay? Bye. Take care. Thank you. Have a good day. Pashupata Astra. Zeba, Pashupata Astra. Pashupata Astra. Okay? Thank you. We'll meet tomorrow.